Good evening, everyone. Today we'll be dealing with renewable energy. This we could have done with as part of environment, but I generally prefer to do it as part of infrastructure. So we are doing it here. Everything that is relevant for preliminary examination from renewable energy sector, we would be focusing on all those dimensions here. I think coal, petroleum, all these things we have already done. In the industry sector, we had done those chapters. Now, renewable energy may first let us understand what renewable energy is. Do I need to go into the basic definitions? No, the energy source of energy, if it can be renewed faster than what is getting used, it is renewable energy. जब हम coal को देखते हैं, petroleum को देखते हैं, so we are using it, but that coal cannot be renewed as quickly. It will take millions of years to for more coal to be produced, so it's not renewable. Other forms of energy like solar energy, wind energy, or biofuel, those are some things which can be renewed in a faster manner and would be included in the definition of renewable energy. Now, the important sources of renewable energy would be solar, wind, tidal energy, geothermal energy, hydropower, biomass energy, or fuel cell. These are also called non-conventional sources of energy. Why non-conventional? Because conventionally we have used coal, petroleum, those kind of things. These are non-conventional in that sense. Okay. Now, if we look at the total installed power capacity in India, renewable, non-renewable, nuclear, sab mila ke, it is right now 482 gigawatt. As on 31st March, it is 482 gigawatt. This is something that's given in the latest economic survey of India. This as compared to 31st March 2021, it's 4.7% higher. In 2021, it was 460 gigawatt. It has gone up to 482 gigawatt. But of this 482 gigawatt, around 60% is thermal energy. Thermal, which comes from coal, petroleum, all those aspects, that is 60%. And renewable energy, excluding the large hydro. Sometimes government to achieve target includes large hydro also in the definition of renewable energy. So 60% or 59.1% is that of thermal energy. Uske baad 27.5% is that of renewable energy excluding large hydro. If you include hydro as well, so you would see that renewable energy roughly 40% पहुंच ही गया. Can you notice that 27.5, 11.7. So 27.5 में 11 add करोगे, it will go to 38.5 plus 0.7 to 39 point something. We have reached if we include large. Otherwise, renewable में large hydro को traditionally we had not considered it renewable because it's problematic. Large hydro has a lot of negative impact on environment. So it is something that was not that we wanted to promote a lot, that environmentalists wanted to promote a lot, and thus it was not included in the definition of renewable. But अब हम अपने targets की बात करते हैं, तो government has started including it in the definition of renewable. But do we have an idea about the current power sources and what happens, or what is the situation? 60% is coming from thermal sources, 27% is coming from renewable, excluding large hydro, and then 11% would come from. So if you remember, we have already covered climate change. So climate change में the first NDC that India had given, one target that we gave was कि by 2030, in the first NDC, by 2030, the non-fossil sources of energy would be 40%. That we have already reached. 40% non-fossil source हमें दिख रहा है, renewable, large hydro, and थोड़ा nuclear भी add कर दो. Sorry, नहीं, न्यूक्लियर रिन्यूएबल में नहीं आएगा, बट नॉन फॉसिल तो है, नॉन फॉसिल है. So we have already reached that target, and therefore in the new NDC that we have given, what is the target that we have set? 50%, है ना? By the new NDC, the updated NDC that we have given to UNFCCC, we have said कि 50% of our energy by 2030 would be coming from non-fossil sources. ये figure मैं इसलिए भी थोड़ा सा ध्यान रखने को बोल रहा हूँ, because when it would come in means, अभी तो हमारा preparation is for preliminary examination, you will have rough stats with you. Okay, if you want to look at the data like gigawatts में data भी हमने percentage में देखा था, so you would see that thermal, like right now in 2021-22, thermal contributes to 312 gigawatts of the 482 gigawatts. renewable contributes to 116 gigawatt and hydro contributes to 46.9 gigawatt. उसमें 6.8 gigawatt of nuclear is also there. Okay, 1 or 2% nuclear is also there. Now, गवर्नमेंट सोर्सेस बोल रहे हैं कि 2022 में वी हैव 152 गीगावाट ऑफ रिन्यूएबल एनर्जी. 152 गीगावाट, यू कैन कम हियर एंड सी दैट. 2021-22 में 116 रिन्यूएबल एंड 46 ऑफ दिस ना, रफली वो नंबर रीच हो रहा है, राइट. तो वी हैव अराउंड 150 गीगावाट ऑफ रिन्यूएबल एनर्जी कैपेसिटी प्रोजेक्ट्स विच इंक्लूड सोलर में 50 गीगावाट, विंड में 40, बायो पावर और बायोफ्यूल वाले सोर्सेस से 10 gigawatt, small hydro 4.8 and large hydro. Large hydro we have also included here as 46 gigawatt of energy, something that we have. Renewable energy कौन सा कितना है, rough idea will we be able to remember. Now, initially in 2015 we had set a target that by 2022 we'll reach 175 gigawatt of renewable energy. Have we reached 175 gigawatt of renewable energy? नहीं. एक तो हमने लार्ज हाइड्रो इंक्लूड कर लिया, पहले लार्ज हाइड्रो इंक्लूजन का प्लान नहीं था, बट इवन आफ्टर इंक्लूडिंग लार्ज हाइड्रो वी आर रीचिंग ओनली 152 gigawatt. So this 175 gigawatt of renewable energy target was considering 100 gigawatt of solar energy, 60 gigawatt of wind energy, 10 gigawatt of biomass and 5 gigawatt of small hydro. Noted carefully. इसमें large hydro नहीं था ओरिजिनल टारगेट में, but now at COP26 we have submitted a new target, that is by 2030 we will be achieving the target of 450 gigawatt of installed capacity of installed renewable energy capacity in the country. Okay, got it? Pakka? Now there's a question, Sudeep has asked a question online, कि sir, non-conventional and renewable, are they same? Not necessarily. Please understand this. Renewable sources are those sources which can be renewed, the solar energy, wind energy, biofuels. Now, there can be some non-conventional source of, these are non-conventional, because conventionally we had not been using it. These are non-conventional. But there can be some non-conventional sources of energy which are not renewable. Will someone give me an example of which is not renewable? Right? Those are non-conventional. Okay, so though renewable energy sources are conventional, but not all, renewable energy sources are non-conventional, but not all non-conventional ones would be renewable. Okay, so this rough idea, what is the current status of renewable energy and what is our new target. 2022 वाला target था वो तो miss हो गया है, but we have kept another bigger target that by 2030 we would want 450 gigawatt of installed renewable energy capacity. Got it? Now, India's NDC, we have already done this. India's NDC, in climate change we had already done this, and this is the projected estimate 2029-30 में as per Economic Survey of India or as per Ministry of Power, Central Electricity Authority, this is the rough estimate of situation. Like only 32% would remain coal and lignite, gas would be contributing to 3%. So this 32.66% and 3%, around 35-36% would be coming from coal, lignite and gas. Baki, most of the other sources of energy would be there. Here they are talking percentage wise. So here you see that solar would be producing more energy than what coal and lignite is doing by 2030 as per the current estimates that we have about what will we be reaching, what will we be doing. Okay, so this was the current scenario. What is the total power capacity that we have? How much of it is renewable? Renewable में भी solar कितना है? ये सारी चीजें. What do we want to achieve by 2030? And what are our estimates for 2030? We have an understanding of this. Now, recently in June 2022, Ministry of Power came up with. देखो अभी तक जो हमने चीजें डिस्कस करी, they were mostly under Ministry of New and Renewable Energy, because we are talking about renewable energy. But Ministry of Power also takes certain steps to promote consumption of renewable energy. To promote consumption of renewable energy. Production तो Ministry of New and Renewable Energy का होगा primary काम, but मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ पावर कंजम्पशन ऑफ रिन्यूएबल एनर्जी बढ़ाने के लिए कुछ स्टेप्स ली, उसकी डिमांड बढ़ाने, renewable energy, more and more renewable energy is used. So they have come up with these rules, electricity rules 2022, और ब्रैकेट में देखेंगे promoting renewable energy through green energy open access. Now what is this? Promoting electricity rules 2022, जिसमें promoting renewable energy through green energy open access. What is under this? Ministry of Power has said, ध्यान से सुनेंगे, Ministry of Power has said that a big player who wants to buy renewable energy. Suppose LevelUp IAS बहुत बड़ा सेंटर बन जाए and our electricity consumption becomes 100 kilowatt, है ना, 100 किलो, जैसे अभी ये 4 AC चल रहे हैं 2-2 वाट के, तो 8 किलोवाट इज द इलेक्ट्रिसिटी कंजम्पशन दैट वी आर यूजिंग, बट इट बिकम्स 100 किलो. Then we can ask our DISCOM, we want renewable energy. Prices would be different, but our DISCOM will not be able to deny it. This is open access to renewable energy. Pehle this limit was 1 megawatt. The consumers who were consuming up to 1 megawatt voluntarily could call for getting renewable energy supply. But now this has been reduced to, as per these rules, it has been reduced to 100 kilowatt, so that even smaller players will now have open access to renewable energy. There are some players who may want कि नहीं हम तो environmentally sustainable ही रहना चाहते हैं, and we won't use energy from or will use less energy from the fossil fuel sources. So there we'll want to use renewable energy sources. So this open access is regarding that. These rules are regarding that. Okay, we'll look at the name once again. Electricity Rules 2022, promoting renewable energy through green energy open access. What is being done under it? You would see the rules have been notified to promote generation, purchase and consumption of green energy. अगर डिमांड बढ़ेगा तो क्या जनरेशन बढ़ेगा, परचेज बढ़ेगा, कंजम्पशन बढ़ेगा. ओके, द ग्रीन ओपन एक्सेस इज अलाउड टू एनी कंज्यूमर and it is allowed to any consumer. The limit of the open access transaction has been reduced to 100 kilowatt. From 1 megawatt it has been reduced to 100 kilowatt. So कोई भी consumer who is using up to 100 kilowatt of electricity supply can ask the DISCOM, I want green energy. Did we understand this? Are we all able to connect to these rules, what they are trying to do? Now this has been done so that even smaller consumers are able to purchase renewable energy. पहले जब 1 megawatt consumption requirement is huge, right? If one AC is of 1 kilowatt, let's say आपके घर में, so if you are running 1000 ACs, then you will be consuming 1 megawatt of this thing. Are we getting it? So it has been reduced to 100 kilowatts so that even smaller players would now be able to open access green energy. Then there are some other aspects. Consumers are entitled to demand supply of green power from DISCOM, power distribution companies. DISCOMs would be obligated to procure and supply green power to eligible consumers. समझ में आ रही है बातें? Then these rules will also streamline overall approval process for granting open access. Now this open access which is being granted, मेरे office में there may be some other electricity supply. Here a special access has to be provided so that the electricity supply that I am getting is from renewable sources, है ना? So here access has to be granted, but these rules streamline that process also. एक online portal बनेगा, वहाँ पे within 15 days when I apply for it should be granted. If it's not granted, if action is not taken within 15 days, it would be assumed that my application has been accepted and I'll be given green energy. Either it can be rejected or it can be accepted. But if no action is taken within 15 days, what happens? My application is accepted. Commercial and industrial consumers are allowed to purchase green power on voluntary basis. They these rules also provide certainty on open access charges. What will be the fee? DISCOMs, to harass people, should not start charging. ऐसे आपको नॉर्मल कमर्शियल सप्लाई में इलेक्ट्रिसिटी इज अवेलेबल है 10 रुपीज पर यूनिट, आई विल चार्ज यू 25 रुपीज पर यूनिट फॉर रिन्यूएबल. नो, तो उसके लिए भी दे हैव सेट अप मैकेनिज्म्स की व्हाट वुड बी द कॉस्ट ऑफ परचेज एंड हाउ द चार्जेस वुड बी डिसाइडेड. there shall be a uniform renewable purchase obligation on all obligated entities in areas of a distribution licensee. Green hydrogen, green ammonia has also been included in the fulfillment of this agreement. Consumers will be given green certificate. The consumers who use this open access wala mechanism to get green energy supply, they will be given these green certificates to recognize their contribution towards environment. Now, how will the cost of green energy be decided? So, as per Electricity Act, there's a body, Appropriation Committee. It's a statutory body which is mentioned in Electricity Act. It will decide. This is not a new body. Electricity Act se bana hai. It will decide the tariff, and the tariff for the green energy shall be determined by appropriate committee and shall comprise of average pooled power purchase cost of the renewable energy. उस कंपनी को डिस्कॉम को कितना पावर परचेज कॉस्ट लगा था रिन्यूएबल एनर्जी का, क्रॉस सब्सिडी चार्जेस इफ एनी एंड अदर चार्जेस व्हिच मे बी देयर, उसके बेसिस पे प्राइस ऑफ रिन्यूएबल एनर्जी वुड बी डिसाइडेड. Okay, now here government had notified POSOCO, Power System Operation Corporation. It will be central nodal agency which would be providing a single window open access system for renewable energy under these rules. And इसी के अंदर they have in November 2022 started this portal, Green Energy Open Access Portal. The purpose for which POSOCO was created, उसके लिए this portal has been created, Green Energy Open Access Portal. See, this has been launched by Ministry of Power. All this is being done by Ministry of Power. These rules are by Ministry of Power, not Ministry of New and Renewable Energy. है ना? Confused नहीं होना है. Right? Online students, are you also able to understand? Please note, most of the things that today we'll be talking about will be about Ministry of New and Renewable Energy, but some of the initiatives have been taken by Ministry of Power. So अगर UPSC ministry related question पूछेगा, तो we should not get confused. Appropriate committee, appropriate commission, not committee. Appropriate commission जो था उससे related सवाल आता है. We should note it's a statutory body mentioned in the Electricity Act and so on. Power sector of so Green Energy Open Access Portal, another initiative. As part of these rules only, this portal has been created, where what can happen? It will provide access to stakeholders including open access participants, traders, power exchanges, national, regional, state, load dispatch center, central transmission utilities, etc. Through these portals, they can get information, they can get their issues resolved. The portal is allowed to any consumer with load limit reduced from 1 megawatt to 100 kilowatt. The portal will allow consumers to access green power easily through transparent procedure rather than a lot of documentation and all in physical manner. It would be this portal through which it would be available. Okay, Ritu is asking, sir, please explain RPO, renewable purchase obligation. Beta, what happens? No, energy source from coal, electricity from coal power plants are cheaper. So if a power distribution company is there, what would happen? That power distribution company will buy all the electricity from fossil fuel wala source, right? So government makes a rule कि इतना percentage of energy, your energy should come from renewable sources. That is renewable purchase obligation, RP. Okay. I hope these rules are understood. Once we understand the core idea, reading it, understanding the provisions becomes easy. Anithin, क्या पूछ रहे हैं बेटा? No, these are not tradable. देखो, please understand. Nidhi has a question ki, are these green certificates tradable? Please note that something would become tradable when you have got a credit, when you have earned something extra. You were supposed to use this much green energy, but you're using more of it. But यहाँ तो ऐसा कुछ नहीं है ना? No, हाँ वो part है, but it's not. मतलब who will buy it? Point ये ना, someone who has not met the target should be buying it, but यहाँ तो कोई target नहीं है, कुछ नहीं. नहीं CSR में इंक्लूड नहीं होगा. मतलब आपको अपना इलेक्ट्रिसिटी सप्लाई CSR के थ्रू नहीं कर पाओगे. Okay, CSR में इंक्लूड नहीं. Anyway, let's come back. Let's now go to the individual types of renewable energy. We'll first talk about solar energy. You know, अभी 5 बजे I was having some fever, headache, and I was planning to cancel the class. पर जब मैं क्लास में आया हूँ, आई डोंट इवन रिमेम्बर कि वो कुछ था, हेडेक था या फीवर था, तो क्लास इज अ गुड प्लेस फॉर मी। हाँ, पॉजिटिव वाइब्स, आपसे पॉजिटिव वाइब्स आ रही है ना सबसे। इट्स माई लाइक द प्लेस वेयर आई वुड वांट टू बी व्हेन आई एम डाउन, कि जहाँ पे एनर्जी मिलेगी। चलिए, लेट्स कम टू सोलर एनर्जी। तो देखो, व्हाट आर द एडवांटेजेस ऑफ रिन्यूएबल एनर्जी? तो वही वो सारे एडवांटेजेस सोलर एनर्जी के भी होंगे। इट विल नॉट बी पोल्यूटिंग, इट विल हेल्प अस fight against climate change, right? These are some common advantages that we can think of, pollution and fighting climate change. Okay, then solar has some other advantages over other renewable sources. For example, wind or other aspects, other energy. सोलर का जो एक बड़ा एडवांटेज वो होता है कि ऑफिस आवर्स में सोलर एनर्जी इज अवेलेबल। व्हेन मोर एनर्जी इज रिक्वायर्ड, देन सोलर एनर्जी इज अवेलेबल, देन इट्स इक्विपमेंट डू नॉट मूव अलॉट। जैसे विंड टर्बाइन की बात करो, तो टर्बाइंस हैव टू रेगुलरली मूव, so there is more wear and tear, whereas solar power panels सोते रहते हैं automatically, they keep getting sunlight and keep producing energy. They have the slow running cost, and India is a tropical country, so geographically also India is suitable for solar energy. These are some of the advantages that solar has. Then solar over the years is also becoming more and more competitive with fossil fuels. Solar energy के prices नीचे जाते जा रहे हैं, which is also contributing to which is also giving a benefit for solar energy, an advantage to solar. Fine. Do we have clarity on this? Do we have understanding on this? Now, to promote solar energy, देखो हमने क्या टारगेट रखा था? 100 gigawatt by 2022. Actually, the initial target was 20 gigawatt, which was set up in 2009 by JawarLal Nehru National Solar Mission. This program was launched in 2009 with a target of 20 gigawatt by 2020. But this target was updated to 100 gigawatt in 2015. In 2015, and in August 2021, we have updated this target to 300 gigawatt by 2030. 2030 तक हमें वो 450 gigawatt of entire renewable energy करना है, उसका solar energy target कितना है? 300 gigawatt. So this is the target of our solar program. Now जो 100 gigawatt का target था ना, original 100 gigawatt का target, which we had to achieve by 2000, which we planned to achieve by 2022, it had two components. One was the 60 gigawatt through large and medium scale grid connected solar power project. 60 gigawatt was supposed to be produced from large solar power project. डेजर्ट में जाके बहुत बड़ा सोलर पावर प्लांट लगाएंगे एंड उसे ग्रिड से कनेक्ट करेंगे. Those large projects were supposed to give us 60 gigawatt, and another 40 gigawatt was supposed to come from the rooftop. Of the 100 gigawatt that we had targeted by 2022, 60 and 40 had 60 from the large solar power plants and 40 from rooftop. So currently we have missed this target. We have missed the target by around 27 gigawatt. जो हमें 100 gigawatt का टारगेट था ना, हम रफली एज पर गवर्नमेंट 60 gigawatt के आसपास पहुंचे, 60-70 के आसपास पहुंचे. तो द गवर्नमेंट सेज की वी हैव मिस्ड इट बाय अराउंड 27 gigawatt, एंड ऑफ दैट मोस्ट ऑफ इट इज बिकॉज ऑफ रूफटॉप. रूफटॉप में शॉर्टेज इज ऑफ 25 gigawatt. रूफटॉप वाले टारगेट्स वी वर मिसिंग ड्रास्टिकली. We were missing this rooftop target drastically. Acha, we'll come to that. But as of April 2022, India is the 5th largest solar energy producer after China, US, Japan, and Germany. About 27% of India's 100 gigawatt solar target remained unmet. 100 gigawatt ka 27 gigawatt. Of this, 25 gigawatt was because of rooftop solar mein failures. Rooftop solar mein not achieving the target. Are we understanding this? Now, we had said कि under solar mission, Jawaharlal Nehru National Solar Mission, there were two components: 60 gigawatt from large power plants, large solar power plants, and 40 from rooftop. So large power plants का target reach करने के लिए we had launched scheme for development of solar parks and ultra mega solar power projects. Now this scheme was based on Charanka solar park in Gujarat. So what had been done here was government had created a solar park where companies just had to come in and plug in. Plug in the sense इसमें plug and play model होता है. Plug and play model का मतलब है कि भाई we will provide you everything. We will already have that place where you are going to put in solar power panels, have electricity supply, have water supply, have proper road connectivity, have all those things ready. The solar power producers जिनको भी invest करना है solar power panels लगाने electricity produce करना है in the solar power project, you come and start focusing on your core thing. Other things would already be kept. So through this, we were encouraging, motivating more and more companies to come up and set up solar power plants, large solar power. It was this model that was being followed. So under this, it was envisaged that 50 solar parks with 500 megawatt capacity or above would be created with total 40,000 megawatt coming from only these large, only under this scheme. 60,000 megawatt say 40,000 megawatt would be coming only from this big scheme. Now it would be based on plug and play model, and center was all states and union territories are eligible for it, and center was also providing central financial assistance where 25 lakh rupees per solar power solar park was being given for detailed project report preparation, and for every unit, every megawatt of electricity capacity being created, 20 lakh rupees was being given by center. So the players were also incentivized कि you come and set up large power plants, हम आपको पैसे भी दे रहे हैं प्रोजेक्ट रिपोर्ट के लिए भी and for power generation के लिए भी. So as of 30th September 2022, capacity of 40 gigawatt for the development of 59 solar power parks have been sanctioned. So 40 gigawatt का टारगेट था यहाँ पे, and we see that 40 gigawatt, 50 solar parks का टारगेट था, 59 solar parks in 16 different states have been sanctioned. Sanction matlab it would be done in some time. But in case of rooftop solar, sanctioning has also not been. The first component, yes. National Solar Mission, yes, it is the same thing. So Shikha is asking a question कि हमने National Action Plan for Climate Change पढ़ा था, उसमें we had studied one National Solar Mission. So is this JawarLal Nehru National Solar Mission the same thing? Yes, it's the same thing. Okay, then another component here was grid connected rooftop solar program. ये grid connected rooftop solar program में 1 kilowatt to 500 kilowatt capacity तक के grid connected solar rooftops had to be created. तो घरों के ऊपर people would set up solar power panel. Initially, various subsidies. देखिए, central financial assistance of 30% of the benchmark is provided in general category states, and 70% of the benchmark is provided in specialized category states. So initially, this was provided for the entire sector जो भी rooftop solar लगा रहे हैं. But in 2016, the private sector, commercial and industrial establishment in the private sector were excluded from central financial assistance. उनको गवर्नमेंट जो सब्सिडी दे रही है या उस पे रोक लगी. वह कमर्शियल एंटिटी, प्राइवेट सेक्टर, बट हाउसहोल्ड सेक्टर will still keep getting this benefit. Now, why was this private sector excluded? प्राइवेट सेक्टर को भी बड़ी बड़ी फैक्ट्रीज हैं, वो अपने ऊपर सोलर पावर पैनल्स लगाएं एंड दे जनरेट रूफटॉप सोलर से एनर्जी. दैट इज गुड. इट्स नॉट very different from rooftop solar which we will be creating over household. It was because of WTO norm. We lost a case in WTO जहाँ पे national treatment वाला एक provision होता है. Let me talk about that. अभी we haven't studied international bodies, international body and polity, ये दो चीजें हमारी pending है. We'll finish polity next week, international bodies उसके बाद. But WTO में there's a rule called national treatment. It says that once a good has entered from some other country into your country, it should not be discriminated with the domestically produced goods. तो यूएस से जो सोलर पावर पैनल्स आ रहे हैं और इंडिया में डोमेस्टिकली जो प्रोड्यूस हुआ है, उनके बीच में डिस्क्रिमिनेशन नहीं होना चाहिए. गवर्नमेंट शुड नॉट बी डिस्क्रिमिनेटिंग इट. So when government gave subsidies for installing rooftop solar power panels, government had put this condition that you will buy domestic. It was, if you'll buy domestic solar power panels, was it violating national treatment? Those imported power panels were not getting national treatment. Those imported power panels were not getting national treatment. So a case was filed in the Supreme, also not in WTO, and WTO ruled against us. And therefore, government had to stop giving the central financial assistance to the private sector. Abhi bhi government agencies, if they are setting up, PSUs are setting up solar power panels on their rooftop, or households are setting up, that CFA is available, but for private players, not available. I hope you have understood this. अभी हम जब WTO पढ़ेंगे, we'll understand most favored nation, national treatment, all these aspects in more detail. We'll look at many new cases also, many latest cases also. Okay, now here we are saying target has been missed. Shortfall of 25 gigawatt. 40 gigawatt हमें achieve करना था, so there's a shortfall of 25 gigawatt in this by 2022. A number of reasons have been given. Jैसे initially it was due to lack of consumer awareness, inconsistent policy framework of central government as well as state government. But recently there has been a sharp rise in rooftop solar installation. This is due to lowering of cost, increasing grid tariff. But there are some of these factors still hindered rooftop solar. For example, supply chain disruption during COVID-19 created a problem. Then regulatory roadblocks were there. State government से कितने benefit मिलेंगे नहीं मिलेंगे. उसके अलावा there was limits to net metering. What do we understand the concept of net metering? देखो, these solar rooftops that we are creating, let's say ये घर है. बचपन में this is how we used to make घर, and class KG nursery first में this is how you made घर. Let's say this is घर. Now when you are setting up solar power panels on top of it, these solar power panels may be producing more electricity than what is required in the household. At some time it may not be producing any electricity. At that time you would want to get electricity from the grid supply. Now in this kind of system what happens is, जो आपके घर में मीटर लगा रहता है, electricity meter, that is a net meter, because there would be times when you will be supplying electricity to the grid, and there would be time when you will be consuming electricity from the grid. So net meter will measure the net electricity consumption that you have used, because you will only have to pay for that. So उसमें भी कुछ problems were there, because of which the rooftop solar suffered. Then taxes on imported cells or modules increased its cost. Financing issues were also there. Because of all these reasons, rooftop solar में हमने problem face करी है. 2022 में we launched a initiative, घर के ऊपर solar is super. घर के ऊपर solar is super. It's a rooftop solar awareness campaign launched by Ministry of New and Renewable Energy. It's a bid to mobilize public support for installing solar rooftop panels. घर के ऊपर solar is super. Ministry of New and Renewable Energy to increase awareness and encourage more people to set up solar power panels on their rooftop. चलिए. Then there's another initiative, प्रधानमंत्री किसान ऊर्जा सुरक्षा एवं उत्थान महाअभियान, PM कुसुम. Look at the name carefully. गवर्नमेंट के नाम, I don't know, मुझे समझ भी नहीं आया सर्वेश आपने क्या पूछा है. I'll come back to this. प्रधानमंत्री किसान ऊर्जा सुरक्षा एवं उत्थान महाअभियान, PM कुसुम. Look at the name again carefully. प्रधानमंत्री किसान, फार्मर, ऊर्जा एनर्जी, सुरक्षा सिक्योरिटी एंड एवं उत्थान महाअभियान. तो एनर्जी सिक्योरिटी प्लस देयर प्रोस्पेरिटी के लिए एक इनिशिएटिव. फार्मर्स का एनर्जी सिक्योरिटी एंड देयर प्रोस्पेरिटी के लिए एक इनिशिएटिव पीएम कुसुम. तो अंडर दिस व्हाट वाज फोकस कि द एनर्जी रिक्वायरमेंट फॉर एग्रीकल्चर, जैसे एग्रीकल्चर पंप एक्सेट्रा, should be available through solar. This will ensure solar energy and thus energy security for them, and would also reduce the cost which they bear, and would lead to overall improvement in productivity, which will lead to their increase in income. So basically, यहाँ पे water energy security was one aspect, but another aspect was de-dieselizing the farm sector. Farm sector में भी motors etc. run through diesel, so replace them with solar power based motors. So under this initiative, there are three sub schemes. There are three components. Component A may what is planned is कि there is a lot of wasteland. There is a lot of wasteland. Why don't those wasteland be converted into solar power panel projects, solar energy projects? So 10,000 megawatt of decentralized ground-mounted grid-connected renewable power plants of individual plant size of up to 2 megawatt. 2 megawatt plant size मतलब plants बहुत बड़े नहीं होंगे. अल्ट्रा मेगा पावर प्लांट्स तो सोलर पावर प्लांट्स आर, उसके लिए दूसरी स्कीम है. छोटे छोटे वेस्ट प्लांट्स पे these kind of power plants would be created, which will be connected to grid as well. Component B is for supplying solar powered agriculture pumps. Agriculture pumps which will run on solar energy. Now, this is a very interesting suggestion. Understand this. There would be times when there will be no sunlight. बरसात हो रही है पर तब तो पानी है ही बरसात का. So when there is no barsat, when there is no sunlight, when there is a lot of sunlight and no cloud, at that time you will be having this enough electricity for these solar pumps. Enough energy for these solar pumps, and these solar pumps would be able to fulfill your requirements. Do we understand this? So this is the second component. First component क्या है? Up to 2 megawatt size के solar power plants लगाने, छोटे छोटे solar power plants लगाने on wasteland. Second, up to 20 lakh standalone solar power panels लगाने हैं. Initially this number was lower, but later government updated this number to increase it to 20 lakh standalone solar power agricultural pumps. Please note, these are standalone pumps. Standalone pump मतलब these are not grid connected. तो इसके साथ कुछ सोलर सेल्स रहेंगे, उनसे ही चल रहा होगा ये पंप, right? And then component C is solarization of 10 lakh grid connected agricultural pumps of individual pump capacity of up to 7.5 horsepower. That is individual pumps जो लोगों के पास है, which is running by electricity, उनको solarize करना by grid connection. These are the three components which are there under PM Kusum, so that India का agriculture becomes more sustainable, uses less of those fossil fuel based energy sources. Now here also targets have been missed. यहाँ पे overall target था 31 gigawatt setup करने का, but as per International Energy Agency, of the 31 gigawatt setup between 2021 and 26, as per the current financing and implementation schedule, only 10 gigawatt or 1/3 of the capacity would be achieved. So here also we haven't done very well. Only 1/3 of the targets is being achieved. In fact, A and C component are the worst performing. Component B is easy to implement, identifying farmers और उनके पंप से छोटे छोटे solar power panel connect करना. So here 27% things have been achieved, but here situation is very bad. In A and C situation is very bad. तो इसी को देखते हुए recently Center does away with bank guarantee clause for solar power generators under PM. Solar power generator से जो component C है, component C में when you said कि you will be supplying solar energy, in that supplying solar energy when you will be setting up this small project, or component A में when you will be setting up this small project on wasteland, you will be supplying solar energy. तो government आपको क्या देता है? Funds देता है support करने के लिए आपको. Government at that time asks you to give bank guarantee, so that if you do not implement the project and we have given you funds, so that bank guarantee will be getting compensated. But because of this, like not a lot of people would have this bank guarantee facility available. बैंक गारंटी के लिए बैंक शुड गिव गारंटी. बैंक, हाउ वुड बैंक गारंटी बी गिवन? व्हेन यू हैव इनफ रिसोर्सेस. So not a lot of takers for this initiative were found. So अभी गवर्नमेंट ने क्या किया? गवर्नमेंट said that okay, we are giving up on this bank guarantee. This bank guarantee is not needed. So that more and more people would be able to participate in these projects and make these projects achieve their target faster. Why was it needed? क्योंकि it was needed because performance was very poor. You see, in component A, around 4909 megawatt capacity has been sanctioned, and of this, just 42.75 megawatt capacity or less than 1% has been installed. Component A का sanctions जितने कर दिए गए उसका 1% installation है. Its component C is worse. Only 1.3% have been installed. So government is trying to reduce burden on people through these kind of initiatives. Okay, then there are other initiatives which were in news recently. A floating solar power plant. Floating solar power plants क्या होगा? They will not be set up on land. Now, setting floating power plants on lakes or ponds have a number of advantages. What advantages it would have? No land acquisition requirement. है ना, लेक और पॉन्ड तो कोई इंडिविजुअल ओन नहीं करता. इजी प्लेन टेरेन विच इज शैडो फ्री. लेक्स में पेड़ होने के या पहाड़ी और ये सब होने के चांसेस नहीं रहेंगे. लेक वुड बी प्लेन and there would be very less chances of shadow. On the bank of the lakes there may be some shadow, but otherwise there won't be any shadow. Solar power panels accumulate less dust here. Dust on solar power panels reduces its efficiency, which on land would be higher. Lake may dust come less evaporation of water, thus water also gets conserved when it is covered by solar power panel. Finally, ambient temperature ensures efficient utilization of solar power plant. Temperature around solar power plant would be ambient, good, not very high. At very high temperature, when the components of solar power panel heat up, their efficiency, their performance reduces. So, यहाँ पे क्या है? While they have to remain in sunlight, the ambient temperature should not be very high, and lakes would ensure. These are floating solar power plants. So, abhi recently it was in news when Ramagundan, it's a place in Telangana where NTPC has set up India's largest floating solar power plant of 100 megawatt capacity. It is endowed with advanced technologies and environmentally clean features. Here, India's largest floating solar power plant has been set up. Are we understanding this? Easy factual चीजें ज़्यादा tension वाली बात नहीं है. Organic solar cells. There was another thing which was in news. देखो, organic solar cells क्या है? Solar cells we had briefly, and when we were covering in science and technology electronics, then we had said the solar cells are optoelectronic. है ना? They will be able to sense light and produce electricity, but they are made up of electronic components, semiconductors, right? ये हमने briefly पढ़ा था. इन ऑर्गेनिक सोलर सेल, एक सोलर सेल्स के ऊपर जो मटेरियल रहेगा ना, दैट विल बी अ ऑर्गेनिक पॉलीमर which will get sunlight and produce electricity. It will not be that inorganic electronic component which is made up of silicon and all. Those solar power panels are called organic solar power. तो रिसेंटली बहुत सारे डेवलपमेंट्स होते हैं इसमें. अभी आईआईटी कानपुर ने has developed an organic solar cell device consisting of a blend of organic polymer BTB7 as a donor and PCBM as a acceptor. Donor acceptor electrons की बात कर रहे हैं. Electron movement would be something that will be generating electricity. They're talking about that. So for that reason, it was in news. So organic solar cells are a type of solar cells that use organic material, typically polymers, as the active layer to convert sunlight into electricity. For the research of IIT Kanpur, it was also in news in PIB. I hope अगर organic solar cells पे सवाल आएगा, we'll be able to do. Now there are a few more things. देखो जनरली क्या होता है ना कि these देयर आर ऑलवेज गैप्स लेफ्ट, सो दैट ऐसा नहीं होगा कि द एंटायर pond would be or entire lake would be connected so that there is no light reaching downstream. There would be light reaching, there would be photosynthesis which would take place. The gaps रहते हैं ऐसे, हम इमेजिन क्या कर रहे हैं कि there is this lake will cover it entirely by solar and फिर कोई सनलाइट नीचे नहीं जाएगा तो एल्गी कैसे ग्रो होंगे, how would life form survive? It's not like that. It doesn't, it's not like that. Okay, कभी आप देख पाओगे तो you will realize कि some part of it lake gets covered by it, not the whole of it. हाँ, portion of sunlight entering कम हो जाएगा and it may have some impact on photosynthesis, but tropical country में ना शायद ये doesn't remain a big factor. हाँ, yes. Okay, now let's come to this सरल इंडेक्स. सरल इंडेक्स ना देखो, इंडेक्स है तो ये समझ जाओ क्या होगा, रैंकिंग होगा. 2019 में मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ न्यू एंड रिन्यूएबल एनर्जी एंड मिनिस्ट्री दिस शक्ति सस्टेनेबल एनर्जी फाउंडेशन, HCOM and Ernst and Young, they developed this index. क्या था, रैंकिंग करना है स्टेट्स को on how well they have made their system to promote solar energy in that state. So how were states ranked on which parameter? Robustness of their policy framework, implementation environment, investment climate, consumer experience, business ecosystem, on how much they're attracting solar rooftop solar, or how much they're able to promote rooftop solar in their state. So for that सरल index was brought. एक दो छोटी छोटी चीजें और है. सौर मित्र स्कीम, देखो as solar energy use increases, we had a target of 100 gigawatt by 2022, but we will eventually reach 300 gigawatt by 2030. Then there would be lots of solar power panels. तो जैसे अभी हमारे पाइप्स खराब हो जाते हैं, हम प्लम्बर को बुलाते हैं, उस टाइम सोलर पावर पैनल्स और that electricity supply may face certain issues. So we would need human resource which is trained in this particular sector, which is able to serve people who are more and more going to use solar energy. Government will also need a lot of jobs where maintenance के लिए और research के लिए a lot of people would be needed. The Saurya Mitra is that human resource development. New and renewable energy. Okay, got it. Saurya Mitra is, so this was solar energy. I hope idea लगा. देखो main schemes, main programs are there, but UPSC tends to ask some random चीज जो अभी recently हुई है कुछ वैसा, तो जो ये छोटी छोटी चीजें और पढ़ी है ना, इनको भी ध्यान से देखना. लास्ट ईयर कुछ लार्जेस्ट सोलर कुछ पूछ लिया था, क्या पूछा था? हाँ, कुछ तो क्वेश्चन पूछा था सोलर वाला, वो वैसा सा पूछा था. तो इस तरह के सवाल भी आ सकते हैं जो हमने लार्जेस्ट फ्लोटिंग पावर प्लांट देखा, इस तरह की चीजें देखी. तो यू मे बी आस्क दिस काइंड ऑफ क्वेश्चंस एज वेल. तो इनको भी ध्यान देना है. अदर देन द नेशनल सोलर मिशन, लुक एट अदर एस्पेक्ट्स एज वेल. देन लेट्स कम टू विंड एनर्जी. देखो, in our science and technology classes or in your class 9 and 10th NCERT that you may have read, you understood how generator functions, है ना. उसी से हमने समझा था कि देखो eventually we have to rotate the turbine. Eventually if it's solar power panel में electricity production का तरीका अलग है, but when it comes to wind energy, when it comes to hydro energy, when it comes to thermal energy, तो thermal energy के केस में भी heat is generated, heat goes to convert water into steam, and that steam goes and rotate the turbine. So it is the rotation of turbine blade which generates electricity. Wind energy के केस में we must have, all of us must have seen wind turbines. बहुत बड़े बड़े height पे there would be blades, turbine blades, which will be forced by the wind to rotate, and as they rotate, electricity would be produced. This is how generator functions. क्लास 9 10th में जब हम फिजिक्स पढ़ते हैं, एक मोटर जनरेटर वाला क्लास आता है, वेयर वी मे हैव सीन हाउ जनरेटर फंक्शन. एक ऐसे इमेजिन कर रही है, आया तो था, नहीं आया था, आया पक्का. हाउ मोटर फंक्शंस, हाउ जनरेटर फंक्शंस, की कैसे इलेक्ट्रिसिटी, बिकॉज ऑफ द मूवमेंट ऑफ इलेक्ट्रिसिटी दैट मूव्स, एंड आप उसे मूव कर दो in that electromagnetic field, so electricity would be produced. Okay, so anyways, this is what happens in wind energy. So globally, has the fourth highest installed capacity to generate wind energy. As of September 2022, our installed capacity is 41 gigawatts. Now, this is one area where it is said that government has kind of ignored this sector. While focusing a lot on solar, their focus on wind energy has been less. तो जो 2014 का wind energy numbers था, उससे बहुत ज़्यादा improvement नहीं हुआ है, which has happened in case of solar. सोलर के केस में द नंबर्स फॉर वेरी लेस 5 गीगावाट 10 गीगावाट कुछ वैसे नंबर्स हुआ करते हैं, उससे हम 60-70 गीगावाट पे आ गए, बट दीज नंबर्स आर वेरी हाई एंड हैज रिमेन्ड अराउंड दैट ओनली. तो वी आर राइट नाउ हैविंग अ कैपेसिटी ऑफ 41 गीगावाट्स ऑफ सोलर एनर्जी और 40 गीगावाट ऑफ 41 गीगावाट ऑफ विंड एनर्जी और 40 गीगावाट रफली याद रख लेते हैं. बट आर पोटेंशियल इज ऑफ 602 gigawatt as per National Institute of Wind Energy. Total wind energy capacity that we have is of 602 gigawatt of onshore and 100 gigawatt of fixed and floating offshore at a hub height of 120 meters. Now, what is meant by hub height of 120 meters? Hub height of 120 meters, जो wind turbine के blade का height, देखो, on earth, on the surface of earth, wind movement would be slower, but as you will go up, wind flow would be, so at a height of 120 meter, at a hub height of 120 meter, the potential that we have is of 600 gigawatt, and we are way below our potential currently. We are way below our potential currently. India's renewable energy target is of 175 gigawatt. उसमें 60 gigawatt of onshore wind energy target was also there, which we see we haven't been able to. Wind के लिए भी there are missions like National Wind Mission है, which was launched in 2015. वही 60 gigawatt by 2022 का target था. In 2022, a global wind report was published by Global Wind Energy Council. Global report. So it's talking about the entire world, and it says that in 2021, 93 gigawatt of wind energy capacity was created in the world. Not the total. Total in the world that was created in that particular year. 93 gigawatt, and of if you'll come to India, more than 1.4 gigawatt of wind energy was installed in 2021 in India. So global offshore wind market enjoyed its best year in 2021 with 21.1 gigawatt being commissioned, and global onshore wind market saw 72.5 gigawatt. तो ऑफशोर ऑनशोर दोनों में अच्छा एडिशन हुआ था. टोटल एडिशन वाज 90 gigawatt. इंडिया में एडिशन वाज 1.4 gigawatt. As per the report, the new offshore installation in 2022 are likely to decline by 2019-20 levels, primarily due to reduction in China. However, market growth is expected to regain momentum again in 2023. So we'll see this report as this report comes this year. What happened in 2022? They're saying it may go down because of slowdown in China, primarily because China is a big player in this wind energy sector, but it may regain again in 2023. That's what the report says. So this was wind energy. Wind energy में ज़्यादा कुछ नहीं पढ़ना है. So solar and wind, two of the things that we have done. Let's now come to bio. Bio. Hemant is saying that during day sunlight, if solar power panel gets more heated, does it stop working? नहीं, it doesn't stop working. If they are very hot, ऐसे समझो ना, आपका कंप्यूटर इलेक्ट्रॉनिक कंपोनेंट्स है, उसमें बहुत हॉट हो जाता है तो उसकी एफिशिएंसी थोड़ी कम हो जाती है. सेम वुड बी द केस विद सोलर पावर पैनल. तो एम्बिएंट टेम्परेचर अच्छा है एंड दे आर रिसीविंग अ लॉट ऑफ सनलाइट, दैट्स गुड. इफ एम्बिएंट टेम्परेचर इज वेरी हाई एंड दे आर आल्सो रिसीविंग अ लॉट ऑफ सनलाइट, उसमें उनका एफिशिएंसी थोड़ा सा कम रहेगा. दैट्स व्हाट वी आर ट्राइंग टू. Let's now go to biofuel. So the fuels which are produced from contemporary biological process, जैसे कोई पेड़ उग रहा है, वो भी बायोलॉजिकल प्रोसेस है, उसको वी आर cutting and using for some fuel, for making some fuel. That is contemporary biological process. Now वो that पेड़, that tree, वो इवेंचुअली सेडिमेंट बन के मिलियंस ऑफ ईयर्स में कोल बन जाता है, बट biological process then it was not contemporary. The biological processes which took place was millions of years ago. So coal को will not include in the definition of biofuel, right? But let's say animal waste, वो contemporary biological process से बना है, उस एनिमल वेस्ट से हम बायोगैस बना लें, दैट इज बायोफ्यूल. गन्ना उग रहा है, शुगर आया, शुगर से हम इथेनॉल बना लें, इथेनॉल इज बायोफ्यूल, राइट. वेरियस अदर काइंड्स ऑफ वेजिटेबल ऑयल, they can be converted into biodiesel. So vegetable oils, they are produced from contemporary biological processes. They have been produced from contemporary biological processes. So these are some of the examples of biofuel. So biofuel is a fuel that is produced through contemporary biological process such as agriculture, anaerobic digestion. जैसे बायोगैस प्लांट में क्या होगा, ह्यूमन वेस्ट और एनिमल वेस्ट would be covered so that oxygen supply would not be there, and that waste will eventually produce gases like methane. बायोगैस में मोस्टली मीथेन होगा. CH4, देखो ऑक्सीजन नहीं है, ऑक्सीजन होता तो डिकम्पोजिशन वुड हैव लेड टू प्रोडक्शन ऑफ CO2. Here microorganisms produced methane in the during decomposition process in the absence of oxygen. So anaerobic digestion can be an example. Anaerobic digestion is also a contemporary biological process rather than fuel produced by geological processes. The petrol, coal, all those crude oil, coal, natural gas, all those things are produced by geological processes. So are we able to differentiate between biofuels and other fuels? Now, they are made from recently grown biomass. Note it carefully, plant or animal matter, and thus they are renewable because they are grown from recently grown biomass. You can regrow the biomass, and thus they are renewable. Biogas, bioethanol, biodiesel are some of the examples. Biogas, do we understand biogas? Biogas में क्या होगा? बायोगैस प्लांट्स किसी ने देखा है एक्चुअली काम करते हुए? आपने देखा है? कहाँ देखा है? हाँ हाँ, आप एनिमल, तो बायोगैस प्लांट्स में क्या होता है कि गोबर पहले भरा जाता है, एनिमल वेस्ट उसमें भरा जाता है, एंड देन इट इज कंप्लीटली सील्ड सो दैट ऑक्सीजन सप्लाई नहीं रहेगा, एंड अनएरोबिक रेस्पिरेशन करेंगे माइक्रो ऑर्गेनिजम्स टू डिकम्पोज दोज waste, that animal waste. That anaerobic respiration would lead to production of methane. Methane through pipes and all will reach households जहां पे उस पे खाना बन सकता है. ये देखो क्या हुआ बन रहा, बट अच्छा इसे अभी तक पता ही नहीं था ऐसा हो सकता है. हो तो ह्यूमन वेस्ट के साथ भी सकता है, पर लोग उसे खाना बनाने में कतराएंगे. प्रोड्यूस मीथेन ही होगा, बट लेट्स इग्नोर इट, है ना. तो शुरू करो बांद्रा में, सॉरी बांद्रा बोल दिया, बांद्रा में शुरू करो. ऐसा कुछ नहीं है कुछ? अच्छा, और किसी ने देखा है? और किसी ने? आपने भी देखा है? आपने कहाँ देखा? शायद खेत में लगा हुआ बायोगैस. तो क्या करते हो उस मीथेन? हाँ अच्छा, इलेक्ट्रो, हाँ उसमें सप्लाई में. आपका इशराक ह्यूमन वाला है, ठीक है, समझदार लोग भी हैं. नहीं, एक्सेप्टिंग द बायोगैस फ्रॉम ह्यूमन वेस्ट फॉर कुकिंग फूड एंड एवरीथिंग इज अ साइन ऑफ मेच्योरिटी. मतलब ह्यूमन वेस्ट इज पुट इन एग्रीकल्चरल फील्ड और उससे गेहूं चावल बन रहा है, वो खा लेते हैं, बट राइट, दैट्स द रियलिटी. तो वो जर्म्स नहीं आते हैं भाई. do not make it a religious issue or anything like that. It is methane gas. Fine. Anyways, so many of you have, has Vishnu seen it? So promote this in your village if you are from a rural part of India. So biogas is that anaerobic respiration of human waste or animal waste से जो produce होगा. Bioethanol. Ethanol, we know ethanol is alcohol. How is alcohol made? By fermentation process, है ना. तो by fermentation अल्कोहल इज अ फ्यूल. आपने देखा होगा कई बार अल्कोहल में आग लगा देते हैं लोग, तो वो बर्न होता है. इट्स अ फ्यूल. इट कैन बी एडेड विद पेट्रोल टू मेक ethanol blended petrol, which has various advantages. We'll talk about those as well. So it's mostly made from carbohydrate produced in sugar or starch crops such as corn, sugarcane, wheat. Cellulosic biomass derived from non-food sources such as tree or grasses is also developed as a feedstock for ethanol production. Ethanol can be used as fuel for vehicles in pure form. 100% ethanol can also be used. E100 fuel बोलते हैं उसे. Ethanol 100% है. But right now the petrol that you buy उसमें 10 to 15% रहता है. 20% का टारगेट है by 2025. We'll reach the target of 20% ethanol blending by 2025. Ethanol then as of February 2022 हमारा 10 gigawatt of bio installed capacity of grid connected biomass power project to that 10 gigawatt. What was the target? 10 था ना. टारगेट था 10. बायोमास का 10. स्मॉल हाइड्रो का 5 था. बायोमास बायोफ्यूल का टारगेट 10 गीगावाट था. दिस इज समथिंग दैट वी हैव बीन एबल टू. ओके, नाउ देयर आर 3 generations of biofuel. There are 3 generations. Biofuel can be divided into 3 broad generations. First generation biofuels are those biofuels which are produced from, देखो हमें इवेंचुअली चाहिए क्या? शुगर चाहिए, जिसको फर्मेंट करके इथेनॉल बनाएंगे. तो इट मे कम फ्रॉम the food that we eat. It may come from sugar cane. It may come from rice. It may come from maize. This sugar can easily be converted into ethanol. यहाँ पे technology is very simple. Technology is not very complicated. These are first generation biofuels. These would be cheaper to make and all, but इसका criticism भी होता है कि when there is food scarcity in the world, why food is being converted into biofuel. Okay, so here even animal fat can be used. It can be used for producing biofuel of first generation. Second generation में they are produced from non-food organic crops such as wood, organic waste. अब आप wood को ले लो, wood को फ्यूल में कन्वर्ट करना, बायोफ्यूल में कन्वर्ट करना would be challenging, right? उससे शुगर एक्सट्रैक्ट करना, उसे ब्रेक करना, इस लिग्नाइटिक सब्सटेंसेस को ब्रेक करना इन sugar and then eventually converting it into fuel would be complex. The advantage includes use of wasteland, less impact on food security. There are some limitations including high capital. So advantage तो ये है कि food security पे कोई impact नहीं कर रहा. That we understood. Who was doing it? First generation वाला was doing it. But here food security पे impact नहीं होगा. But technology is much more expensive, much more complex, and the ROI is a bit lesser. One well-known second generation technology is lignocellulosic processing, which uses forest material. Here lignite and cellulose वाला जो material होता है उसको bark of the tree and wood would be converted into biofuel. Then we have third generation. Third generation में we use things like algae. Algae now under एक छोटा सा ना simple principle समझना कि the smaller the living organisms, it has consumed less energy for producing biomass. अब देखो we may be let's say I'm 100 kg. Let's say नहीं हूँ ये. हाँ तुम बोलो 4 और ज्यादा है ना. नहीं लूज नहीं हुआ. लूज मई में होगा जब आप लोग सब प्री के लिए पढ़ रहे होगे. आप सबका 4 गेन होगा. हंस रहे हो. मई में आप सबका गेन होगा अनलेस आप सुबह शाम अच्छे से वॉक पे जा रहे हो. तो मई में तो मैं खाली रहूंगा, मैं लूज करूंगा. एनीवेज तो मार गए ना ताना तुम, इसलिए गिरा है ना. चलिए वापस क्या बोल रहे थे. हाँ तो लिविंग अब मैं 100 किलो का हूँ, बट ये 100 किलो का बायोमास प्रोड्यूस करने में lots of energy has been used. But if you wanted to produce 100 kg of algae, the energy required by it would have been much less. Can you understand that? 100 kg of algae तो फटाफट बहुत सारे एल्गीज ग्रो होते हैं एक साथ, बहुत सारा 100 kg एल्गी हो जाता है, और 100 kg ऑफ लेट्स से ग्रास, 100 kg का टिम्बर बनाने में ज्यादा एनर्जी कंज्यूम। बड़े ऑर्गेनिजम्स, ये जनरली दिस इज समथिंग दैट इज नोटिसेबल। तो एल्गी से बायोमास प्रोड्यूस करना इज इजियर देन बायोमास व्हिच इज गेटिंग प्रोड्यूस्ड फ्रॉम इन फर्स्ट जनरेशन और सेकंड जनरेशन। दस थर्ड जनरेशन में वी हैव विल कम टू दैट। तो गौरव इज सेइंग कि सर गवर्नमेंट वीट खरीदती है और वो सड़ जाता है, तो उसे हम बायोफ्यूल में क्यों ना कन्वर्ट करते हैं ना। हाँ, वी हैव कम अप विद सर्टेन सम ऑफ दोस मैकेनिज्म, विल कम टू दैट, वी हैव अलाउड दैट, वी हैव अलाउड दैट। हाँ, we have allowed that. We'll come to that. But first generation is understood, second generation is understood, third generation में we look at microorganisms like algae, उनसे biomass produce होगा and that biomass will be converted into, they are produced from microorganisms like algae. Algae acts as low cost, high energy and entirely renewable feedstock. It has impressive diversity and has high yield. Advantage include ease of generating the biomass anywhere where sunlight and carbon is present. Third generation biofuel has the potential to be more sustainable and have lower environmental impact than first and second generation. Some limitation include still developing tech, high technology cost, some poisonous algae may also be there. These are some of the smaller limitations. Okay, these are the three generations. फर्स्ट फूड क्रॉप जैसी चीजें होती है, एनिमल फैट वाली चीज होगी। सेकेंड लिग्नोसेल्यूलोसिक मटेरियल, नॉन फूड सोर्सेस होंगे। थर्ड एल्गी। नाउ देयर आर फोर्थ एंड फिफ्थ जनरेशन बायोफ्यूल्स आल्सो व्हिच आर स्टिल इन द प्रोसेस ऑफ डेवलपमेंट। इन फोर्थ जनरेशन वी यूज बायोटेक्नोलॉजी। जैसे अपना एल्गी था, एल्गी लेट्स से देयर इज एन एल्गी व्हिच ग्रोज एट अ पर्टिकुलर रेट, वी कैन जेनेटिकली मॉडिफाई दैट एल्गी to grow at a much faster rate and produce a lot of biomass quickly, right? This would be happening in fourth generation. These would be fourth generation biofuel. It takes advantage of biotechnology to engineer special crops such as algae, sometimes called oil ghee, for biomass production. The aim is to engineer microorganisms to produce biofuel more efficiently with higher yield and with lower environmental. समझ में आया? फोर्थ जनरेशन, तो इट्स अ टेक्नोलॉजी अंडर डेवलपमेंट। सिमिलरली देयर इज फिफ्थ जनरेशन। इन फिफ्थ, जैसे यहाँ पे इन्हें वी वर कॉलिंग देम ऑयल गी, एल्गीज को ऑयल गी बिकॉज दे विल बी यूज्ड फॉर प्रोड्यूसिंग बायोफ्यूल। दीज आर also being called electrofuels. Fifth generation ones are called being called electrofuels because what would happen in fifth generation biofuels? Fifth generation biofuels में we will be producing biofuels using renewable energy. रिन्यूएबल एनर्जी, रिन्यूएबल इलेक्ट्रिसिटी जो आप प्रोड्यूस कर रहे हो, that will be used to stimulate, that will be used to provide energy to our biomass. They are known as electrofuels. They are produced from microbial synthesis using renewable energy. तो एनर्जी जो चाहिए होगा ग्रोथ के लिए, प्रोडक्शन के लिए, that will come from renewable sources. In this process, microorganisms use electricity as an energy source to convert carbon dioxide into liquid fuel such as ethanol and butane. So now this is again something which has been conceptualized but has not been implemented or is not commercially available. So 1, 2, 3 are something which is happening. 4, 5 are still under development. 4, 5 are still under development. So third वाला बेटा देखो क्या है ना, एल्गी वाला बायोटेक्नोलॉजी करके एल्गी को मॉडिफाई करोगे, दैट्स स्टिल इन डेवलपमेंट, बट एल्गी वाला कैन बी यूज्ड. ओके, नाउ लेट्स कम टू इथेनॉल ब्लेंडिंग. इथेनॉल ब्लेंडिंग, पेट्रोल में इथेनॉल मिला, दैट इज इथेनॉल ब्लेंडिंग. तो प्रोसेस ऑफ मिक्सिंग इथेनॉल विद पेट्रोल, this would be called ethanol blending. The mixture is called ethanol fuel gasohol, which is considered as a quasi renewable energy. Quasi renewable because petrol renewable nahi hai, but ethanol to renewable hai. Now in India, this practice of blending ethanol with petrol started in 2001. Later it was mentioned in auto fuel policy of 2003, where the fuel policy said that hame blending karni hai. Now what is the advantage of ethanol blending? अब पेट्रोल में इथेनॉल मिलाओगे तो उसके क्या क्या फायदे? वन सिंपल एडवांटेज इज इट रिड्यूसेस एमिशन ऑफ कार्बन मोनोऑक्साइड. कार्बन मोनोऑक्साइड इज अ पॉइजनस गैस. बहुत सारा कार्बन मोनोऑक्साइड में इवन लीड टू डेथ ऑफ पीपल, है ना. बाहर नहीं होगा बट घर के अंदर इफ अ लॉट ऑफ कार्बन मोनोऑक्साइड इज प्रोड्यूस्ड इट में लीड टू डेथ. वी हैव ऑलरेडी अंडरस्टूड दैट साइंस में. व्हाट इज प्रोड्यूस्ड? कार्बोक्सी हीमोग्लोबिन which reduces the capability of our blood to carry oxygen, है ना. So it reduces emission of carbon monoxide. First advantage. Second, it is cheaper than petrol. Ethanol banana, ethanol would be cheaper than petrol and thus it reduces the cost of fuel. Third, it reduces our import dependency. अगर हम 10% पेट्रोल को ब्लेंड कर रहे हैं तो 10% कम पेट्रोल यूज कर रहे हैं. इथेनॉल आल्सो हैज हायर ऑक्टेन नंबर. नाउ ऑक्टेन नंबर क्या इंडिकेट करता है? ऑक्टेन नंबर इंडिकेट करता है एंटी नॉकिंग प्रॉपर्टी. व्हाट इज एंटी नॉकिंग प्रॉपर्टी? व्हेन फ्यूल इज बर्न, तो देखो फ्यूल ना एक कंट्रोल वे में बर्न होना होता है. अगर वो थोड़ा सा अनकंट्रोल तरीके से बर्न हो गया तो अ लॉट ऑफ एक्स्ट्रा प्रेशर में बी क्रिएटेड in the internal combustion engine which may harm internal combustion. Internal combustion engine would work most efficiently at a particular pressure. So this anti-knocking property of ethanol ensures that fuel burns more smoothly and thus increases the life of your engine. Generally fuels which have higher octane number have better anti-knocking property and are preferred by our engines. So ethanol also gives this anti-knocking property to it. Then in case of India, ethanol production can generate higher sugarcane prices for farmers and thus benefit a lot our agriculture sector as well. बात समझ में आई? इथेनॉल ब्लेंडिंग का कॉन्सेप्ट समझ में आया कि क्यों करना है, व्हाट आर द एडवांटेजेस. नाउ इन 2003 हमने देखा था इंडिया में पहली बार इसे मेंशन किया गया था ऑटो फ्यूल पॉलिसी 2003 में. तो इन 2003 ethanol blending program was launched with an aim of promoting 5% blending of molasses based. Molasses, do we understand what molasses are? तो molasses से जो ethanol बनता है उससे 5% blending का टारगेट रखा गया था to promote the use of alternative environment friendly fuel to reduce import dependency. We have already talked about these advantages. Currently the government has set the target of 10% blending by 2022 and 20% blending by 2030. Later you would see that roadmap for ethanol blending in India in 2020-25 में गवर्नमेंट अपडेटेड दिस टारगेट. तो यहाँ पे आप देखेंगे 20% का टारगेट है. वी विल बी अचीविंग दैट इन 2025 only. 20% ethanol blending का टारगेट वी वुड बी अचीविंग, सॉरी नहीं 20% का, हाँ 20% का टारगेट है. वी विल बी अचीविंग इट बाय 2025 ओनली. दैट टारगेट हैज बीन अपडेटेड. नोट करिए इसे, है ना. इनिशियली व्हाट वाज द टारगेट? बाय 2030 वी विल अचीव 20% blending, but in the roadmap for ethanol blending in India 2020-25 released by PM Modi in June 2021, certain things were done. One of the thing was Department of Food and Public Distribution said that as a result of various measures taken to address the demand and supply side issues, it is likely that ethanol distillation capacities in country would be more than doubled by 2025 and we would be able to achieve 20% target of ethanol blending by 2025 only. इसके अलावा the other steps which were taken was BIS specification for E12 and E15 blending have been notified. देखो अब कोई भी फ्यूल आएगा उसका BIS स्पेसिफिकेशन होगा. तो E10 is 10% ethanol, E12 is 12% ethanol, E15 is 15% ethanol. तो BIS certification हो जाएगा. So that has been notified here. Pilot project of E100 dispensing from 3 locations at Pune. So the vehicles which would run completely on biofuel, 100% biofuel, they'll be able to get fuel from these petrol, these biofuels. Then central financial assistance for biomass power projects include installation from biomass combustion, biomass gasification, baggage cogeneration, conversion of surplus stock of rice with FCI and maize to ethanol का परमिशन भी मिल गया है. इन जून 2021 सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट allocated 78,000 tons of rice from FCI for ethanol production. Now गौरव देखो सही क्वालिटी का राइस कैन ऑल्सो बी कन्वर्टेड इनटू इथेनॉल इफ इट इज सरप्लस। सड़ने वाला तो बात अलग है, बट इवन दिस कैन बी कन्वर्टेड इनटू इथेनॉल। आर वी गेटिंग दिस? गौरव had asked the question कि सर द राइस जो सड़ जाता है क्या उसे हम डाइवर्ट कर सकते हैं इथेनॉल प्रोडक्शन के लिए? यहाँ पे क्या किया हमने, इवन द गुड क्वालिटी वन कुड बी डाइवर्टेड बिकॉज इट वाज सरप्लस, इट वाज एक्स्ट्रा। Ethanol will also this rice sale to ethanol making companies would also give revenue to Food Corporation of India, right? Cabinet approved mechanism for procurement of ethanol by public sector oil marketing companies. Now यहाँ पे ये क्या है, देखो ऑयल मार्केटिंग कंपनीज, पब्लिक सेक्टर ऑयल मार्केटिंग कंपनीज विल रिफाइन क्रूड ऑयल टू मेक पेट्रोल, और फिर उन्हें इथेनॉल मार्केट से खरीदना पड़ेगा। इथेनॉल मार्केट से खरीदना पड़ेगा, जो इथेनॉल मेकिंग कंपनीज हैं, फार्मर्स विल सेल शुगर केन देयर, दे विल बी मेकिंग इथेनॉल एंड सो ऑन। तो यहाँ पे अंडर द इथेनॉल ब्लेंडिंग प्रोग्राम गवर्नमेंट हैज रिवाइज्ड द प्राइसेस। इथेनॉल फ्रॉम डिफरेंट सोर्सेस has been priced differently to ensure more income to ethanol and thus to farmers as well. There are other recent developments. अच्छा, ये हमने already देख लिया, E100 dispensing from 3 locations at Pune, BIS specification for E12 and E15. Even the Ministry of Road Transport and Highways have amended central motor vehicle rules to allow for E12 and E15 fuels. Even this has been done. Now, to promote biofuels, do we have an understanding of biofuels so far? What biofuels are? Do we also understand ethanol blending, the advantages there, and some of the key initiatives that have been taken? Now, to promote, वो तो ethanol blending के initiatives थे. In general, to promote biofuels, these are some major initiatives that have been taken in recent years. National policy on biofuel, we'll look at it in details. Pradhan Mantri Jeevan Yojana, ethanol blending program and associated steps, we have already talked about this. Biogas promotion के लिए a number of initiatives are there. 2022 में भी some certain steps have been taken. We'll talk about that. And advisory to car makers to introduce flexible fuel engines in vehicles. What are flexible fuel engines? पेट्रोल और इथेनॉल दोनों पे चल पाए वैसे वाले vehicles, so that in future we are dependent on that. Dushyant is saying, sir, I have read somewhere that 100% ethanol fuel will not work with recent vehicle technology, as per our engine and fuel tank do not sustain such fuel. Yes, and that is why they have been asked to develop flexible fuel engine. The companies have been asked, the advisory has gone to car makers so that they are developing flexible fuel. That's the reason. अगर अभी के कार में पूरा इथेनॉल डाल दिया 100% और चला दिया, वो पॉसिबल होता ही, तो दिस एडवाइजरी, देयर वाज नो नीड ऑफ दिस एडवाइजरी. I hope this so far everything is clear. So let us look at these initiatives. National policy on bio 2018. Yes, sir. Sorry. हाँ हाँ, ये अलग अलग टाइप के मोलासिस, मतलब हाँ, उसमें जाने की जरूरत नहीं. ओके, ये साहिल इज आस्किंग दीज थिंग कि सर जो यहाँ पे मोलासिस थे ना अलग अलग. हाँ, the price of ethanol from C heavy molasses route B increased to 46.66. The price of ethanol from B heavy molasses B increased from 59.08 to 60.73. The price of ethanol from sugarcane juice be increased to 63. So it ऐसा होता है ना कि आप एक तो जूस से ही बना रहे हो, उसके बाद जूस से जो चीजें बची हुई हैं उससे बना रहे हो, तो ऐसे ही जब सॉलिड यूजलेस कंटेंट बढ़ता जाता है तो मोलेसेस का क्वालिटी और प्राइस कम होता जाता है. तो उससे जो बायोफ्यूल बन रहा है वो इस चीपर. सबसे महंगा बायोफ्यूल कौन सा वाला है? शुगर केन जूस से जो बना है ना. तो इट्स एसोसिएटेड विद दैट. मैंने जब ओरिजिनली नवंबर दिसंबर में नोट्स बनाए थे तो उसके डिटेल्स पढ़े भी थे, पर अभी याद भी नहीं है एग्जैक्टली हाउ दे आर डिफरेंट. सॉरी, वो ऐसे बोल रहे करंट अफेयर्स के टीचर क्यों बन गए? तुम्हारी बात सुनता है कौन? तुम्हारी बात तो मैं अपने हिसाब से, तुम सुनते हो ऐसा क्यों है? सही बंदा है, बांड्रा बोलते हैं इसलिए सही. ये ना इलीटिस्ट लोग कोई अंग्रेजी अच्छी बोल रहा है तो वो सही बंदा है। मैं सही नहीं हूँ तो हरियाणवी सीख रहा है। ऐसे दिल्ली में बहुत सारे लोग हैं और बात करते हैं तो डर लगता है कभी मारेंगे। वो बेचारे प्यार से ही बात करते हैं बट देयर एक्सेंट इज एज इफ कि अभी पीटने वाले हैं तुम्हें। तो आप मत सीखो, उन्हें थोड़ा सा दूसरा लैंग्वेज सीखा, बांद्रा वाला नहीं। चलिए आते हैं, नेशनल पॉलिसी ऑन बायोफ्यूल। नेशनल पॉलिसी ऑन बायो, तो जस्ट व्हेन यू मीट अ पर्सन फ्रॉम हरियाणा ना, तो डू नॉट जज दैट पर्सन। ऐसा मत सोचो कि वो आपसे आपको डांट ही रहा है, वो बात ही ऐसे करेगा। उसका नेचुरल बात करने का, अरे मेरे दो फ्लैटमेट्स थे, मेरे को पहले लगता था दोनों बड़े रूड है। फिर एक तो दीपक तो मेरा कॉलेज का जूनियर था, उसने बोला सर बात ही, वो मेरा जूनियर था तो मुझे सर बोलता था, सर बात ही ऐसे कर, इट्स नॉट रूड। मैंने कहा ऐसे कैसे बात। तो उसने मुझे समझाया कि सर ऐसा नहीं होता, लाइक यू हैव टू थोड़ा सा आप भिवानी टाइप जगह पे चले जाओगे तो वहां पे लैंग्वेज बिकम्स मोर रफ। तो अ, वो जब आपको प्यार भी कर रहे होंगे ना तो वैसे ही टोन होगी। टीचर ने डाउट लेने से मना कर दिया था, कौन सा टीचर ने? अच्छा, हाँ, ओ भाई। साहिल है? है? तो साहिल का किसी जेई वाले टीचर ने डाउट लेने से मना कर दिया क्योंकि वो हरियाणवी एक्सेंट में बात कर रहा था। ये तो बड़ा ही टीचर था। मतलब ऐसे कैसे है? नहीं फिर भी यार, चलिए, एनीवे कम बैक। नेशनल पॉलिसी ऑन बायोफ्यूल। पर्पस क्या है? बायोफ्यूल्स को बढ़ाना। बायोफ्यूल्स बढ़ाने से एडवांटेज क्या होंगे? इंडिया की ऑयल इंपोर्ट डिपेंडेंसी कम होगी। It will provide better income opportunities to farmers by helping them dispose of their surplus stock in matter, economic manner. Okay, so what have been done under the biofuel policy? सबसे पहले ना, they have categorized biofuel in two categories. Basic biofuels, which is the first generation ones, जो food material से बनते हैं, and then advanced biofuels, second generation and third generation biofuels. They have included this in the advanced category. Second generation ethanol, municipal solid waste to drop in fuels, third generation biofuels, bio CNG, and so on. Now, why this differentiation? इसको प्रमोट करने के लिए ज्यादा पैसों की जरूरत है, ज्यादा सपोर्ट की जरूरत है, राइट? यू वुड सी a viability gap fund for 2G ethanol biorefineries of 5,000 crore in 6 years have been provided, because second generation biofuel would require much advanced technologies which would be expensive. So if I start that biofuel plant, I would be making losses because the technology was expensive and the fuel that I'm able to generate is not getting me enough resources. So for that viability gap funding का mechanism था. So a viability gap funding of 2G ethanol biorefineries of rupees 5,000 crore in 6 years, in addition to additional tax incentives, higher purchase price as compared to 1G biofuel have been provided for. Okay, the categorization का reason समझो. Then it expands the scope of raw material for ethanol production, which are the things which generally सबसे पहले ना molasses based ethanol allow किया था. Later more and more things have been allowed because food products को आप जैसे divert करोगे it becomes controversial. But here we will see that it allowed use of sugarcane juice, direct use of sugarcane juice. Sugar containing materials like sugar beet, sweet sorghum, starch containing material like corn, cassava, damaged food grains like wheat, broken rice, rotten potatoes, etc. have also been allowed to be used for biofuel production. It allows use of surplus food grains for the production of ethanol. सड़ा हुआ भी, surplus, extra. Viability gap funding वाला aspect हमने समझ लिया. The new policy encourages setting up a supply chain mechanism for biodiesel production from non-edible oil seeds, used cooking oil, short gestation crops, etc. देखो, ethanol is produced from शुगर केन एंड जो शुगरी प्रोडक्ट्स होंगे। देन देर आर ऑयल्स, वेजिटेबल ऑयल, उससे क्या बनता है? बायोडीजल, उससे बायोडीजल बनता है। तो जो नॉन ईटेबल ऑयल है उससे उसको प्रमोट करने के लिए बोला गया है। देखिए, द न्यू पॉलिसी एनकरेजेस सेटिंग ऑफ सप्लाई चेन मैकेनिज्म फॉर बायोडीजल प्रोडक्शन फ्रॉम नॉन ईटेबल नॉन एडिबल ऑयल सीड्स using used cooking oil which has been used, because in the same oil you cannot keep on cooking food again and again, it becomes harmful. And so short gestation crops, it also specifies the role of all concerned ministries, departments, etc. in the biofuel sector. So overall it will reduce our import dependency, it will clean environment, it will lead to additional income to farmers. Municipal solid waste management would become better because of these policies. More employment opportunities would be there, infrastructure investment would increase in rural areas. These would be some of the advantages which we will have from this policy. Do we have an understanding of national biofuel policy? First of all. Second, प्रधानमंत्री जीवन योजना, जैव ईंधन वातावरण अनुकूल फसल अवशेष निवारण। अब नाउ प्रधानमंत्री जीवन, आपको अभी हमने क्या देखा था? इन नेशनल बायोफ्यूल पॉलिसी वी सेड दैट viability gap funding would be provided for 2G biofuels, है ना? Now look at its name carefully. जैव ईंधन, जैविक ऑर्गेनिक या बायो ईंधन, बायोफ्यूल, वातावरण अनुकूल, वातावरण इज एनवायरमेंट, अनुकूल एनवायरमेंट फ्रेंडली, फसल अवशेष, फसल क्रॉप अवशेष रिमेन्स, स्टबल, निवारण, उसको हैंडल करना। तो फसल अवशेष वो क्या, उससे अगर हम बायोफ्यूल बना रहे हैं, इट विल बी सेकंड जनरेशन। इस फसल अवशेष ईटेबल थिंग? नो, है ना? इट विल हैव सेल्यूलोज, इट वुड हैव लिग्नोसेल्यूलोसिक कंपोनेंट्स। So the Yojana provides financial support, viability gap fund to integrated bioethanol plant using lignocellulosic biomass. Lignocellulosic biomass यूज करके जब आप फ्यूल बना रहे हो, viability gap fund which was promised under national biofuel policy would be provided, and other renewable feedstock could also be used. Under the Yojana, 12 commercial scale and 10 demonstration stage second generation ethanol projects will be provided VGF in 2 phases. First, in between 2018-19 to 2022-23, 6 commercial projects and 5 demonstration projects, and then between 2020-21 to 2023-24, 6 commercial projects to 5 demonstration projects will be supported. Financial outlay of 2000 crore has been kept for the first phase. The ethanol produced by the scheme will be mandatorily supplied to oil marketing companies who will use it for ethanol blending. Center for High Technology, a technical body under the aegis of Ministry of Petroleum and Natural Gas, will be the implementation agency for this particular project. ये न्यूज में इसलिए था कि प्राइम मिनिस्टर मोदी हैड इनॉग्रेटेड वन सच प्लांट जहां जो वायबिलिटी गैप फंडिंग से जिसे सपोर्ट दिया जा रहा था। तो सिग्निफिकेंस क्या है? ये इट विल लीड टू second generation ethanol sector growing in the country, second generation biofuel sector growing in the country, and it will lead to increase in R&D of the sector. बाकी ये एडवांटेजेस तो वही जनरल एडवांटेजेस है, फार्मर्स को पैसे मिलना, एनवायरमेंट साफ होना, इंपोर्ट डिपेंडेंसी कम होना हुआ। ओके, तो नेशनल बायोफ्यूल पॉलिसी एंड देन प्रधानमंत्री जीवन, यही नाम है, ऐसे गुस्से में क्यों देखेंगे? नेशनल बायोफ्यूल पॉलिसी किस मिनिस्ट्री के अंदर? हाँ, ये तो पेट्रोलियम वाले के अंदर। एक बार कंफर्म कर लेंगे, एक बार मैं ही कंफर्म करता हूँ, मुझे दीजिए कहीं। मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ पेट्रोलियम एंड नेचुरल गैस, नेशनल पॉलिसी ऑन बायोफ्यूल्स in 2018 was published by Ministry of Petroleum and Natural Gas. मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ पेट्रोलियम एंड नेचुरल गैस है नेशनल पॉलिसी ऑन बायोफ्यूल, और उसी का है क्या? ये जीवन योजना। वाई? बिकॉज इवेंचुअली तो पेट्रोल में ब्लेंडिंग के लिए इथेनॉल इज गेटिंग, दो इट्स अ renewable form of energy, but the initiative is by Ministry of Petroleum and Natural. Okay, so now we are coming to World Biofuel Day. World Biofuel Day is observed on 8th of August. Why 8th of August? It is in the remembrance of Sir Rudolph Diesel. The person, Sir, the term Diesel comes from his surname, Sir Rudolph Diesel. What he did on this day, he successfully used peanut oil to run mechanical engine for first. पहली बार using peanut butter नहीं, peanut oil, the same thing, fat ही होगा, which was converted into fuel. With this, he was able to foresee the possibility that fossil fuels could be replaced by vegetable oil as a practical source of energy in the coming century. The day is marked by inventor of the diesel engine, Sir Rudolph Diesel, who was the first one to predict the chances of vegetable oil being replaced by vegetable oil replacing fossil fuels. 2022 में theme था biofuel for sustainability and rural income. These are some of the things related to biofuels that we should be knowing about. कुछ और चीजें भी करनी है. Biogas was also a type of biofuel only, है ना. तो उससे related initiatives में आएंगे. First thing is National Bioenergy Program. This is by Ministry of New and Renewable Energy. Please note, अब हम वो पेट्रोल में ऐड होने वाले प्रोडक्ट्स की बात नहीं कर रहे, राइट. अब हमने क्या बोला, बायोगैस की बात करें तो इट विल नॉट बी अंडर मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ पेट्रोलियम एंड natural gas. It is under New and Renewable Energy. So they have recently in November 2022 launched National Bioenergy Program. National Bioenergy. देखो, I have been telling you कि we have been doing a lot of schemes and all in recent times. जैसे इंडस्ट्री वाला चैप्टर था, उसमें बहुत सारे स्कीम्स किए. उसके बाद ये इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर वाले हमने बहुत स्कीम किए, रोडवेज, रेलवेज, ये सब. इन सबसे ज्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट क्या था, बेसिक्स ऑफ. I've always told you, if you will get 20 questions in economy, 15 would be from the basic concepts: CRR, SLR, bank rate, GDP, GNP, inflation, exchange rate. उसको इग्नोर नहीं करना है पढ़ते पे, राइट. बट ऑफ द रिमेनिंग सेक्शन, जो 5% क्वेश्चन आएंगे इधर उधर से, रिन्यूएबल एनर्जी इज इट्स नॉट ओनली पार्ट ऑफ योर इकोनॉमी सेक्शन बट इट ऑल्सो एनवायरमेंट वाले सेक्शन. तो दिस इज वन बुकलेट विच कंपल्सरली बहुत अच्छे से पढ़ना है. जितने सीरियसली बेसिक्स पढ़ रहे हो उतना ही सीरियसली ये सारी चीजें भी पढ़नी है, क्योंकि यहाँ पे विल ऑल्सो कम टू, जैसे अभी हम हाइड्रोजन एनर्जी पे आएंगे, फ्यूल सेल की बात करेंगे, साइंस वाले पार्ट में भी जाएंगे, कैथोड, एनोड, इलेक्ट्रोलिसिस. we'll talk about those aspects as well. Okay, so I have told you कि for economy focus on the basics more, basic concepts more, and then go through economic survey of India booklets that we are doing, or current affairs booklet that we are doing. But this chapter is an exception. Here go through it very carefully. Here we are doing science concept, here we are doing environment things, and then economy तो है. In fact, economic survey of India में ना renewable energy पे आधा पैराग्राफ है. They have mentioned PM Kusum, they have mentioned कि कुछ टारगेट मिस हो गए वो, but we are doing it thoroughly, exhaustively to cover every aspect. Okay, so let's come back to National Bioenergy Program. Now you may say कि सर biofuel, bioenergy में ज़्यादा डिफरेंस थोड़ी है. हाँ नहीं है, बट इस प्रोग्राम का फोकस लिमिटेड है. Ministry of New and Renewable Energy has continued National Bioenergy Program for the period of 2021-22 to 2025-26. Under this, in phase 1, 858 crore rupees have been allocated, and this national bioenergy program would consist of 3 sub-schemes. What are these 3 sub-schemes? First is waste to energy program on energy from urban, industrial and agricultural waste residues to support setting up large biogas, bio-CNG power plants, excluding municipal solid waste power projects. IREDA will be the implementing agency for this program. Waste to energy, waste from urban, industrial and agricultural waste except the municipal solid waste. उसके लिए जो दूसरे initiatives हैं would be used for producing energy under waste to energy program. Then biomass program, scheme to support manufacturing of briquettes and pallets and promotion of biomass non-bagasse based co-generation in industries to support setting up of pellet and briquettes for use in power generation and non-bagasse based power generation project. तो biomass जो होता है, बहुत सारा biomass can be converted into coal like briquettes etc which can be used as fuel. So this second component, biomass program wala component of this bigger initiative is focused on that. And then biogas program to support setting up of family and medium sized biogas in rural areas. These are the three components, three sub schemes of National Bioenergy Program launched by Ministry of New and Renewable Energy in 2022, in November 2022. Is this understood? है ना, तीन कॉम्पोनेंट फैक्चुअल चीजें हैं थोड़ी सी, इतना बजट एलोकेटेड है इस मिनिस्ट्री का है, ये इसके तीन सब स्कीम्स हैं, देखिए. ओके, नाउ बायोगैस. तो बायोगैस आई हैव एक्सप्लेन्ड यू बायोगैस कि एनिमल वेस्ट और ह्यूमन वेस्ट भी डाल दो, एंड इफ यू सील द टैंक कंप्लीटली with a small pipe to supply you the gas, what would happen? Anaerobic respiration would happen in the absence of oxygen. Initially, aerobic respiration, small amount of aerobic respiration would take place because there is some oxygen on the top layer, but most of the respiration would be anaerobic. In anaerobic oxygen, methane would be produced, which is your fuel. So biomass from kitchen, garden, farms and other such biodegradable material can be used here. Here anaerobic digestion, the organisms, living organisms would do anaerobic digestion to produce biogas. Now to promote biogas, there are 2-3 schemes that we would briefly look at. Pehla hai National Biogas and Manure Management Program. This is by Ministry of New and Renewable Energy. Biogas and manure management, देखो, if you have seen biogas plants, you would see that gas produce होता है, उसके बाद कुछ waste बच जाता है actually, and that is very rich in nutrients, and it becomes an important fertilizer, manure, which can be used in agriculture. जिन लोगों ने भी बायोगैस को फंक्शन करते हुए देखा होगा, तो here the idea is it's a central sector scheme with the aim of setting up family type biogas plant. देखो, if you will come here to the National Bioenergy Program, here also the third component was to support setting up of family and medium size biogas in rural areas. So under the National Biogas and Manure Management Program also, it's a central sector scheme where the focus is on setting up family type biogas plants for providing biogas as clean cooking fuel and a source of lighting, primary setup for rural and semi-urban areas. The slurry produced from biogas plants as a byproduct can also be used as organic biomanure. This is being implemented in all the states and UTs by Ministry of New and Renewable Energy through state nodal departments, Khadi and Village Industrial Commission, and Biogas Development and Training Centers. Then we have Gobar Dhan Yojana. Gobar Dhan Yojana. Now, Gobar Dhan Yojana, you may say, sir, kar to liya biogas. Now, what is special about Gobar Dhan? The core difference that you should understand is this. Here, government is trying to incentivize private players. You go and set up. These plants earn money. That is the idea. So, galvanizing organic bio-agro resources done focuses on managing and converting cattle dung and solid waste in farms to compost, biogas and bio-CNG. But how would that be done? The scheme aims to collect cattle waste and solid waste from farmers for sale to entrepreneurs, who thereafter these entrepreneurs will produce manure, biogas, bio-CNG from the waste. Thus, the scheme connects farmers to buyers so that farmers can get right price for dung and agri waste. Government has also announced online trading platform to connect to buyers of agri waste facilities. The Govardhan to the Govardhan scheme ministry is Ministry of Jal Shakti now. This is by Ministry of Jal Shakti. Okay, तो गोबर्धन फोकस कहाँ? फोकस देखो, पर्पस वही है, बायोगैस प्रोड्यूस होगा, मैन्योर प्रोड्यूस होगा, बट फोकस इज entrepreneurs should be able to set up these biogas plants and everything, and farmers are able to supply this waste to them. Now, Ministry of Jal Shakti, remember this waste creates problem of sanitation in the rural areas, but if इसका पैसे मिल जाएंगे तो गोबर के पैसे मिलने लगे, right? So they would collect it properly, farmers would collect it properly and would supply it effectively. That was the idea of this initiative. Then there is this Satat initiative to promote compressed biogas as an alternative green transparent fuel. Compressed biogas, the biogas production, uska thoda sa treatment in such a way that it can be used as fuel for transportation also. A transparent fuel, transportation or green transportation fuel, green transportation, please correct it. And गोबर का नतीजा है, The potential for compressed biogas production from various sources in India is 62 million tons. सतत में क्या होगा? This is an innovative initiative to set up compressed biogas production plants and make available CBG in the market for use in automotive fuels. The national policy on biofuel also emphasized on active promotion of the advanced biofuels, including CBG. This is an initiative by Union Ministry of Petroleum and Natural Gas and Skill Development and Entrepreneurship with some other PSUs involved and so on. So advantages to hum more or less समझ सकते हैं. Then we have National Mission on Use of Biomass in Coal-based Thermal Power Plant. National Mission on Use of Biomass in Coal-based Thermal Power Plant. देखो बायोमास जो हम वेस्ट को जला के एनर्जी प्रोड्यूस कर रहे हैं, कोल बेस्ड थर्मल पावर प्लांट्स में भी वेस्ट को नहीं, कोल को जला के एनर्जी प्रोड्यूस कर रहे हैं. तो थ्रू दिस नेशनल मिशन ऑन द यूज ऑफ बायोमास इन कोल बेस्ड थर्मल पावर प्लांट, गवर्नमेंट इज प्रमोटिंग थर्मल कोल बेस्ड थर्मल पावर प्लांट्स कि व्हाइल यू आर बर्निंग कोल, बर्न अ पार्ट ऑफ दिस वेस्ट. फॉर एग्जांपल ऐसे सोचो, स्टबल था, अगर स्टबल कलेक्ट होकर थर्मल पावर प्लांट्स में चला जाता तो थर्मल पावर प्लांट्स में बर्न होता कंट्रोल्ड वे में. तो जो एक ही बार खेतों में सब आग लग जाती है और पोल्यूशन वाली प्रॉब्लम होती है दिल्ली में, वो नहीं होती. that is being promoted here in order to address the issue of air pollution due to farm stubble burning and to reduce carbon footprints of thermal generation. Ministry of Power has decided to set up national mission on use of biomass in coal based thermal power plants. Idea क्या है? To increase the level of co-firing from present 5% to higher level. अभी 5% तक co-firing होता है, मतलब coal and 5% of biomass could be there. Increase this to have a larger share of carbon neutral power generation from the thermal power plants to take up R&D activity. Now you may be wondering कि sir, why are you calling it carbon neutral power generation? देखो ये तो वैसे भी burn होता stubble and would have led to CO2 emission. So you have not led to extra CO2 emission while you have produced electricity, right? To take up R&D activity in boiler design to handle the higher amount of silica, alkalis or biomass pellets. As more and more of this material would be used, non-coal material would be used. So boilers and all would also get affected by that because coal का constituent अलग है और stubble का constituent अलग है. So to make your boilers ready for that, to facilitate overcoming the constraints in supply chain of biomass pellets and agro residue, and to transport this up to power plants, and to consider regulatory issues in the biomass co-firing. These are the core areas on which this national mission on use of biomass in coal-based thermal power plant focus. So broadly, ज़्यादा biomass thermal power plant में जल पाए, उसके लिए thermal power plants को ready करना है, ensure करना है that biomass is reaching thermal power plant. These are the focus areas, and changing the regulation in such a way that this gets supported, this gets promoted. That is the idea of this initiative. बात समझ में आ रही है? Okay, now we will go to hydrogen fuel cell. Hydrogen. Okay, छोटी-छोटी दो चार चीजें, don't worry, very easy. We'll quickly go through it. Now see, hydrogen, you can burn hydrogen and H2O would be produced, right? Hydrogen in the presence of oxygen can be burned to produce H2O plus energy. Tell me a place where we use this fuel. गधो, cryogenic engine, GSLV Mark 2, GSLV Mark 3, हाइड्रोजन ही तो था, हाइड्रोजन बर्निंग विद ऑक्सीजन, ऐसे भूल जाओगे, राइट? इट इज वन प्लेस वी हैव ऑलरेडी स्टडीड दैट. बट जो ये बर्निंग होती है ना, इसमें क्या होगा, पहले द केमिकल एनर्जी विल बी कन्वर्टेड इनटू हीट एनर्जी, थर्मल एनर्जी. This heat energy will then be converted into kinetic energy that you require. There is through fuel cells, something same is achieved, but chemical energy is directly converted into electricity. Here what is happening? Chemical energy, which is stored in these chemicals, is converting into heat first. वहां पे एनर्जी प्रोड्यूस हुआ, हीट प्रोड्यूस हुआ, इट कन्वर्टिंग इनटू हीट एंड लाइट, एंड देन दैट हीट विल बी यूज्ड फॉर प्रोड्यूसिंग इलेक्ट्रिसिटी, राइट. फ्यूल सेल्स विल डायरेक्टली कन्वर्ट दिस हाइड्रोजन इनटू इलेक्ट्रिसिटी. तो जब ये एक तरीके की एनर्जी से दूसरे तरीके की एनर्जी में, फिर तीसरे तरीके की एनर्जी में, हर स्टेज में जो लॉस होता वो लॉस नहीं. So fuel cells would be more efficient. So fuel cells would also do the same thing. They will convert hydrogen into water, but it will not be through the process of burning it. And directly in fuel cell, electricity would be. Let's come back. See, this is example of a fuel cell. यहाँ से hydrogen supply is happening. Now there is this membrane here. There are some catalysts. There is this membrane. जैसे ही hydrogen will come in contact with this catalyst in membrane, it will break into hydrogen ion and electron. Through this membrane, only hydrogen ion can pass. Electron will break and flow to the outer circuit. जब electron flow हो रहा है मतलब electricity. On this side, electron would reach, oxygen from air would come, H plus, O minus, H2O would be produced, and water is released as H. यहाँ पे भी electricity got produced, but in the first go only. Unlike there, where water is, where hydrogen is first converted into H2O and heat is produced, and then that heat gets converted into electricity. Rather than that, directly the hydrogen broke into hydrogen ion and electrons. Electron traveled in the outer circuit. That was electricity. देखो bulb भी जल गया. That's what we are trying to do. Did we understand? We'll go into the details. Cathode है, node है, ये सारे. We'll go into those details. But did we understand the core idea? Did we understand the core idea how fuel cell would be functioning? So, a fuel cell is a device that converts chemical potential energy. Chemical energy, उसमें energy stored था जो, chemical potential energy, energy stored in the molecular bonds into electrical energy. जब आपने हाइड्रोजन को बर्न किया इन द प्रेजेंस ऑफ ऑक्सीजन, क्या हुआ था? केमिकल एनर्जी वाज कन्वर्टेड इनटू हीट एनर्जी. Then that heat energy would have been converted into electricity. Wastage in every stage. Here, chemical energy directly converted into electrical energy. Here also some wastage would take place, but multiple times wastage नहीं हुआ, so thus it would have higher efficiency. A proton exchange membrane cell uses hydrogen and oxygen as fuel. The products of the reaction are water, electricity, and key elements of the fuel cell. There is anode, there is cathode. So this side, on this side you have anode. So what happens at anode? Anode, the negative electrode of fuel cell conducts the electrons that are fed from the hydrogen molecule. So this anode will conduct the electrons so that they can be used in the external circuit. The cathode, the positive side of the fuel cell. This side is the cathode or the positive side. It has channels edged into that distribute the oxygen to all the surface of the catalyst. So here, this oxygen that will come, it will get distributed on all the surface of the catalyst. It also conducts electron back from the external circuits. Electron will go to the cathode. It also conducts electron back from the external circuit to the catalyst, where they can recombine with hydrogen ion and oxygen to form. The electrolyte is proton exchange membrane. बीच में जो कैथोड और एनोड के बीच में जो इलेक्ट्रोलाइट है, that is proton exchange membrane. कोई डाउट नहीं? That is proton exchange membrane. This specially treated material which looks something like ordinary kitchen plastic wrap, like this. जो आपको ये sky blue color में दिख रहा है, proton exchange membrane. It is like a wrap. It is like a sheet which looks something like ordinary kitchen plastic wrap. Only conducts positively charged ion, and the membrane blocks electrons. Okay, the catalyst is a special material that facilitates reaction of oxygen and hydrogen. It is usually made up of platinum nanoparticles, and this is one reason because of which these fuel cells are expensive. Catalyst which is making this reaction of hydrogen and oxygen possible is platinum nanoparticle, which makes the fuel cell to be expensive. So how does the fuel cell work? Hydrogen from tank on board the vehicle enters into the anode side of the fuel cell. Oxygen pulled from the air into the cathode side, and eventually the reaction will take place. Electron would grow from this side, membranes के through क्या जाएगा, hydrogen ion, and reaction will take place. As the hydrogen molecule encounters the membrane, a catalyst forces it to split into electron and proton. So it is the catalyst which is hydrogen ion, hydrogen आ रहा है, hydrogen will break into hydrogen ion and electron. The proton move, तो hydrogen ion is what? देखो हाइड्रोजन में तो न्यूट्रॉन होता नहीं है, तो उसके न्यूक्लियस में क्या बचा, प्रोटॉन. प्रोटॉन, तो द प्रोटॉन मूव्स थ्रू फ्यूल सेल स्टैक and the electron follows an external circuit delivering current to the electric motor and other vehicle components at cathode side. They will merge together. Same thing यहाँ पे repeat हो गया है. So what are the advantages of hydrogen fuel cell? I hope you have understood the mechanism. Technically, specifically details में नहीं जाना कि how would platinum act as catalyst and all. UPSC will not ask this. UPSC में ask you कि platinum is the catalyst there, but they will not ask you कि catalyst काम कैसे करेगा, वो चीजें. Okay, so advantages. First is it avoids the thermal bottleneck. What is thermal bottleneck? When energy first converts into thermal energy, then some energy gets lost. That is thermal bottleneck. So it is avoiding that thermal bottleneck. Energy, the chemical energy is not converting into thermal energy, it is directly converting into electrical energy. Hydrogen is high in energy. That's another advantage. Fuel cells don't have any moving part and thus they are reliable, more reliable than traditional engines. No pollution, only water is getting produced. No greenhouse gas emission in the climate change के against भी ज़्यादा issue नहीं है, but there are limitations. It's very complex to build, still mostly in research phase, and catalyst use platinum is very expensive, which makes fuel cell pretty expensive. Okay, now when we talk about electric vehicles में we use lithium ion batteries, right? उन बैटरी को हम घर पे चार्ज करेंगे या बाहर चार्ज करेंगे, उससे हमारा vehicle would run. But what if we have electric vehicles, but to supply electricity rather than having lithium-ion batteries, we have fuel cell. क्या fuel cell भी electricity दे रहा था? Can fuel cell be used there? Yes. Fuel cell electric vehicles can also be there. Those would be electric vehicles, but rather than batteries supplying them electricity, what will supply them electricity? These fuel cells, and these fuel cells will get fuel in the form of हाइड्रोजन. इसका एडवांटेज समझो. बैटरी को चार्ज करने में आधा घंटा 1 घंटा कुछ लगेगा, हाइड्रोजन टैंक में भरने में कम टाइम लगेगा, 5 मिनट में हो जाएगा. तो इलेक्ट्रिक व्हीकल यूजिंग फ्यूल सेल्स वुड डू अवे विद द बिगेस्ट लिमिटेशन ऑफ चार्जिंग टाइम. जैसे पेट्रोल भरने में तो हमें 2 मिनट लगते हैं, ऐसे ही हाइड्रोजन गैस भरने में 2 मिनट लगेगा. एंड इलेक्ट्रिक व्हीकल वाला ही सारे एडवांटेजेस है. बट फ्यूल सेल्स आर एक्सपेंसिव, वो कंसर्न है. बट एनीवेज, फ्यूल सेल इलेक्ट्रिक व्हीकल, द नेक्स्ट टॉपिक दैट वी आर स्टडीइंग, फ्यूल सेल इलेक्ट्रिक व्हीकल. व्हाई? In March 2022, Nitin Gadkari traveled to Parliament in a hydrogen-based fuel cell electric vehicle. This was, he used the car Toyota Mirai. There are few other cars which use this fuel cell electric vehicle वाला mechanism. जैसे और भी नाम होंगे, नीचे होंगे, ये रहा Honda Clarity है, Hyundai Nexo है. These are some of the cars which are using fuel cell electric vehicle. But for this to be successful, we must have hydrogen. जैसे पेट्रोल पंप्स होते हैं, ऐसे हाइड्रोजन पंप्स भी होने चाहिए ना. ओके, तो फ्यूल सेल इलेक्ट्रिक व्हीकल कंबाइन हाइड्रोजन and oxygen to produce electricity which runs the motor. Since they are powered entirely by electricity, they are also electric vehicles. But unlike BEVs are battery electric vehicles. Unlike battery electric vehicles, their range and refueling processes are comparable to conventional cars and trucks. बैटरी इलेक्ट्रिक व्हीकल का रेंज कम होता है, उन्हें फिर बार में चार्ज करना पड़ेगा, तो इनका रेंज भी ज्यादा हो सकता है. यू मे हैव लॉट ऑफ हाइड्रोजन प्लस रिफ्यूलिंग प्रोसेस भी सिंपलर होगा, वुड बी हैपनिंग इन अ फास्टर मैनर. So the major difference between BEV and fuel cell electric vehicle is the refueling time of just 5 minutes. जो बैटरीज के केस में is much larger. और it also consumers get 5 times better energy storage per unit volume. हाइड्रोजन बहुत कम वॉल्यूम में बहुत सारा एनर्जी स्टोर कर सकता है जितना बैटरी स्टोर नहीं कर सकता. एंड thus lot of space would be left in the car for other purposes. तो लिथियम आयन बैटरी का जो साइज रहेगा, उतनी साइज के टैंक में मच मोर हाइड्रोजन कैन बी स्टोर्ड, 5 times more travel time could be provided to car. Okay, So we were talking about fuel cell electric vehicle. So it's one of the electric vehicles, right? So electric vehicles also we can divide it into four categories: battery electric vehicles or simple electric vehicles, hybrid electric vehicles, plug-in hybrid electric vehicles, and fuel cell electric vehicles. फ्यूल सेल इलेक्ट्रिक व्हीकल्स को हमने समझ लिया, ये हाइड्रोजन एज फ्यूल यूज कर रहे होंगे, फ्यूल सेल इलेक्ट्रिक से चल रहे होंगे. द रिमेनिंग थ्री व्हीकल्स इलेक्ट्रिक व्हीकल्स, यहाँ पे सिर्फ बैटरी रहेगी. दीज आर बैटरी पावर्ड इलेक्ट्रिक व्हीकल्स. आप बैटरी को घर पे चार्ज करोगे या बीच में चार्ज करोगे, वेरेवर यू वुड वांट टू चार्ज इट. दिस इज द सिंपल इलेक्ट्रिक व्हीकल. हाइब्रिड इलेक्ट्रिक व्हीकल जो पहला है, तो बेसिकली वी हैव टू डिफरेंशिएट बिटवीन दीज टू टाइप्स. दीज टू आर हाइब्रिड इलेक्ट्रिक व्हीकल, प्लग इन हाइब्रिड इलेक्ट्रिक व्हीकल्स एंड सिंपल हाइब्रिड इलेक्ट्रिक व्हीकल. जो सिंपल हाइब्रिड इलेक्ट्रिक व्हीकल है ना, ये इट इज प्राइमरली पेट्रोल और इंटरनल कंबशन इंजन वाला व्हीकल जो पेट्रोल डीजल से चल रहा होगा. बट it will have some battery which will give it the capacity to run the car even without petrol, diesel, etc. for a few kilometers. That's why it's hybrid for a few kilometers. They run on both internal combustion engine and electric motor that uses energy stored in the battery. However, unlike other electric vehicles, HEVs, cars, battery is charged by regeneration. So here charging would also happen by regenerative braking. Now, what is regenerative braking? When your car is running on petrol and diesel, let's say, आप ब्रेक लगाते हो तो काइनेटिक एनर्जी आपके टायर, गाड़ी में काइनेटिक एनर्जी थी, टायर्स में काइनेटिक एनर्जी थी, यू सडनली स्टॉप, यू सप्लाई अ फोर्स इन द अदर डायरेक्शन, राइट? So that kinetic energy is lost. So that kinetic energy which you are losing can be used for charging your battery. That is regenerative braking. आप ब्रेक लगा रहे हो, उससे एनर्जी दोबारा जनरेट कर दो. इट्स समथिंग लाइक, ऐसे समझो कि व्हेन यू आर राइडिंग अ बाइसिकल और बहुत तेज चला रहे हो तो सामने भैंस आ जाती है, आप ब्रेक लगाते हो, ऑल द एनर्जी दैट वाज स्टोर्ड वाज लॉस्ट. तो इफ देयर कैन बी सम स्प्रिंग मैकेनिज्म, जब आप ब्रेक लगाओ तो दैट वो स्प्रिंग कॉइल हो जाए एंड द काइनेटिक एनर्जी स्टोर्ड इन पोटेंशियल एनर्जी, एंड व्हेन यू रिलीज द ब्रेक दैट स्प्रिंग डिकॉइल्स एंड अपने आप से उसको चला दे. तो सम एनर्जी वाज स्टोर्ड देयर इन द फॉर्म ऑफ पोटेंशियल एनर्जी. इन द सेम वे इन this hybrid electric vehicles, by regenerative braking or by other mechanism, some energy would also be stored in the battery. Micro or mild hybrid uses both battery and electric motor to make the car run, though they can't run solely on electric power. Like that is, वो बहुत देर तक इलेक्ट्रिक पावर से नहीं चलेंगे, या फिर ऐसा होगा कि they will primarily run on internal combustion engine, petrol and diesel, and electric power will be used to support it, to give it more power. They maximize fuel economy by shutting off the internal combustion engine during complete stop. Now, so here what they're saying is, when you have to stop the car, let's say on traffic signals, so you can completely shut off your diesel or petrol engine, and what you can have running your battery wala component. This is hybrid electric vehicle. Here battery का role is prime. ऐसा नहीं है कि your car will run for 50 kilometers using only battery. That would not be the case. But in plug-in hybrid electric vehicle, that is, here they expand the concept of hybrid electric vehicle. They have both an internal combustion engine and a battery powered electric motor as well. This allows the battery to store enough power to feed electric motor and in turn decrease the gas usage by as much as 60%. They can travel around 60 kilometers on electric power rather than 2 to 3 kilometers of the standard HEV. तो जो पुराने वाला हाइब्रिड इलेक्ट्रिक व्हीकल था, वहां पे आप बैटरी से 2-3 किलोमीटर चल पाओगे, यहाँ पे नॉर्मल 50-60 किलोमीटर यू कैन. So these are plug-in hybrid electric, and then we have fuel cell electric. Did we understand? एक तो सिर्फ बैटरी वाला बैटरी इलेक्ट्रिक व्हीकल्स, then we have hybrid में we have hybrid electric vehicles, and then we have plug-in hybrid electric vehicles. Finally, what do we have? The fuel cell electric. Got it? Now see, when we are talking about hydrogen as a fuel, this is a non-conventional source. This is also renewable. Why? Hydrogen is the most common molecule in the universe. बट इट्स नॉट दैट इजिली अवेलेबल। जैसे एटमॉस्फेयर में नाइट्रोजन बहुत सारा ऐसे हाइड्रोजन रहता तो टेंशन ही खत्म हो जाता है ना। हम हाइड्रोजन कलेक्ट करते, उससे एनर्जी प्रोड्यूस करते और पानी भी सप्लाई करते, क्लीन ड्रिंकिंग वाटर, राइट। बट दैट्स नॉट द केस, दैट्स नॉट द केस। हाइड्रोजन वी हैव टू एक्सट्रैक्ट फ्रॉम अदर हाइड्रोजन कंटेनिंग molecules. Hydrogen, though it's very common in universe, in Earth's atmosphere it's not that common. So we have to extract it from other molecules which contain hydrogen. जैसे मीथेन से हम हाइड्रोजन एक्सट्रैक्ट करेंगे और दूसरी चीजों से हाइड्रोजन एक्सट्रैक्ट करेंगे, and for that extraction some energy will be required. So when we use fossil fuel to extract hydrogen, that hydrogen is called grey hydrogen. दूसरे मॉलिक्यूल से जब आप फॉसिल फ्यूल तो पोल्यूटिंग होगा, तो हाइड्रोजन, दो दैट हाइड्रोजन will be a clean fuel, but to produce this hydrogen some fossil fuel has been used, and thus it is grey hydrogen. Though it's good, but it's bad. That is grey hydrogen. Then agar if you have used fossil fuel but using carbon capture technology and all, you are able to prevent it from emitting CO2. आपने कार्बन को कैप्चर कर लिया, so though this hydrogen was produced using fossil fuel, it will be called blue carbon. Oh, sorry, blue hydrogen. Though this hydrogen was produced using fossil fuel, it will be called blue hydrogen. Do we understand this? Blue hydrogen. And then green hydrogen, जब आप renewable energy use करके करते हो, when you are using solar energy, extra solar energy available. Now extra solar energy would, you should have a storage mechanism. Lithium ion batteries are expensive, so you will do what? You will create hydrogen using that energy. So this hydrogen would be clean, क्योंकि उसके प्रोडक्शन में जो फ्यूल यूज हुआ है वो भी क्लीन था, तो दिस विल बी ग्रीन हाइड्रोजन. Hydrogen generated entirely from renewable power sources. Here electricity generated from renewable energy is used to split water into hydrogen, and this is completely green hydrogen. So to promote the use of green hydrogen, National Green Hydrogen Mission has been launched by Ministry of New and Renewable Energy. ये हमने ऑलरेडी पढ़ लिया है, इकोनॉमिक सर्वे ऑफ इंडिया में हमने डिटेल में पढ़ा था ये, राइट. एनवायरमेंट वाला जो चैप्टर था, 6th या 7th चैप्टर था, वहां पे वी हैड कवर्ड इट इन डिटेल्स. नेशनल ग्रीन हाइड्रोजन. अच्छा, अब जो पता है अब हाइड्रोजन प्रोड्यूस कैसे, if you look at the key features of this green hydrogen mission, you will see that green hydrogen mission aims, it is expected that by 2030 at least 5 million metric tons per annum of green hydrogen would be produced in India. Cumulative reduction in fossil fuel would take place. Fossil fuel emissions would reduce if we are using more and more green hydrogen. More jobs would be created. Renewable energy capacity addition of about 125 gigawatt and abatement of nearly 50 million metric tons of annual greenhouse gas emission would take place. इसके लिए what would government do? Government will provide financial incentive targeting domestic manufacturers of electrolyzers. Electrolyzer is a tool that will be used to produce hydrogen. Is equipment that will be used to produce hydrogen. It is opposite of fuel cell. Fuel cell did what? Fuel cell used hydrogen to produce electricity. Electrolyzer will use electricity to produce, it will use electricity to produce hydrogen. So ये मैं electrolyzer, तो यहाँ पे government under this green hydrogen mission is also doing what? Is incentivizing businesses कि भाई you develop new technologies for producing electrolyzers, जिससे electrolysis वाला process. Regions capable of supporting large scale production and utilization of hydrogen to be developed as green hydrogen. Policy framework में development of an enabling policy framework, robust standards and regulation framework, public private partnership for R&D, skill development programs in this sector would be promoted. So what is electrolyzer? देखो electrolyzer में exactly उल्टा हो रहा है. क्या हो रहा है? देखिए, H2O is being supplied and hydrogen and oxygen is being produced. Fuel cell में क्या हुआ था? Hydrogen was supplied and H2O was produced. Hydrogen and oxygen were supplied and H2O was produced. देखिए, वहां पे हाइड्रोजन कहाँ सप्लाई किया गया था? एनोड पे. यहाँ पे इलेक्ट्रोलिसिस में रिवर्स, कैथोड पे हाइड्रोजन विल बी सप्लाइड प्रोड्यूस्ड, एनोड पे ऑक्सीजन, एंड द मूवमेंट ऑफ द हाइड्रोजन आयन विल बी फ्रॉम एनोड टू कैथोड, राइट। दिस इज इलेक्ट्रोलाइसिस। इलेक्ट्रोलिसिस देखो, कई बार ना जब मैं बैटरी पढ़ाता हूँ तो बच्चे डिबेट अबाउट कि सर एनोड तो पॉजिटिव होता है, कैथोड नेगेटिव होता है, वो डाउट हो रहा था। नहीं, वो इलेक्ट्रोलिसिस में होगा। बैटरी में उल्टा हो जाता है कि बैटरी एंड इलेक्ट्रोलिसिस आर ऑपोजिट ऑफ ईच अदर। ये लिख रहा है वैभव। डाउट था तो पूछा क्यों नहीं? अच्छा, मैम को डाउट था, आपको नहीं था? अच्छा, आप देख लोगे। तो आपने क्यों नहीं पूछा? आपने उन लोगों से पूछ लिया। आप आए हो, जेब में क्या रखा है? निकालो। पेन के बाद क्या है? हैं? और भी मुझे चमकीला सा कुछ दिख रहा है। तुम देखो मेरे अलवर का नाम खराब नहीं करोगे। ओके, डिड यू अंडरस्टैंड द कॉन्सेप्ट ऑफ इलेक्ट्रोलाइजर? तो दीज इलेक्ट्रोलाइजर्स का प्रोडक्शन भी हम बढ़ा, बिकॉज इट वुड बी थ्रू दीज विल बी प्रोड्यूसिंग हाइड्रोजन। तो अगर हमें ग्रीन हाइड्रोजन का प्रोडक्शन बढ़ाना है तो हेयर विल you'll need electricity, renewable energy, and using water only you can produce hydrogen. Methane can also be used, other things could have also been used. इलेक्ट्रोलिसिस जनरली भी बेटा अपने हम क्लास में we could have used something else. Yes, right. Okay. नहीं बेटा, एक और चीज समझ, सपोज ग्रे हाइड्रोजन है ना, वहां पे आपने फ्यूल सेल से जो एनर्जी प्रोड्यूस किया वो एज इलेक्ट्रिसिटी यूज किया, तब भी तो इलेक्ट्रोलाइजर यूज हो जाएगा। इट इज नो, आई वुड, यस, इट वुड बी द मोस्ट एफिशिएंट। यहाँ पे कुछ और नहीं हो रहा, बस ब्रेकेज हो रहा है, बाकी दूसरे मैकेनिज्म्स में लॉट ऑफ अदर रिएक्शंस वुड नीड टू टेक। नाउ coal gasification is something which is not renewable, but still देखो, when you burn coal तो a lot of pollutants are produced, है ना। coal gasification converts coal into gas based, which is cleaner, and that's why they are studying it, though it's not renewable, but still we are studying it. Okay, so what is coal gasification? In this, coal, rather than being burned, is heated 400-500 degrees Celsius पे with some limited oxygen supply, limited water supply. It is heated at that temperature and it breaks down into smaller compounds. Converting coal is subjected to high temperature and pressure along with a controlled amount of oxygen and or steam. This causes coal to break down into a mixture of gases including hydrogen, carbon monoxide and methane. It's called syngas. Carbon monoxide, methane together, they are called syngas. So now see, this would be a cleaner fuel. आप कोल बर्न कर रहे थे, बहुत सारा N2O भी प्रोड्यूस हो रहा था, NO2 भी प्रोड्यूस हो रहा था, सल्फर डाइऑक्साइड भी प्रोड्यूस हो रहा था. Now all that would be remained at the bottom and these gases would be cleaner. अब देखो, आप कार्बन सॉरी मीथेन को बर्न करोगे, विल यू प्रोड्यूस नाइट्रोजन डाइऑक्साइड एंड सल्फर डाइऑक्साइड? नो. अगर आप हाइड्रोजन को बर्न करोगे, विल यू प्रोड्यूस नाइट्रोजन? तो यहाँ पे गैस में तो वो कंपोनेंट्स नहीं आएंगे. एडवांटेजेस, versatility. How is it more versatile? So coal is a solid fuel, it can be used for limited purpose, but in the form of this gas it can be used at much more areas. Efficiency, gasification can be more efficient than traditional coal combustion because it produces a gas that can be burned with high efficiency in turbines or in engines. It reduces the emission including sulfur dioxide, nitrogen oxide, particulate matter, इन सबके emissions को reduce कर देते हैं. Utilization of low quality, the coal which is of very low quality, which is high in sulfur, it can be through coal gasification process converted into much cleaner fuel, and it also produces a valuable byproduct. Gasification can produce products like ammonia, methanol and other chemicals that can be used in variety of industries. and thus coal gasification is the mechanism of producing cleaner things. Sir, why hydrogen requires high pressure and low temperature for storing? अरे हाइड्रोजन गैस है ना, गैस को जब आप स्टोर करोगे, आप कम प्रेशर पे स्टोर कर दो, तो दिस एंटायर रूम विल बी filled by a few milliliter of gases, राइट? ओनली लिक्विफाइड पेट्रोलियम गैस, एलपीजी जो आपके घर में आता है, अब 15 लीटर एलपीजी stored in there because it is at very high pressure, है ना, at low temperature. Why? Because it will convert into liquid at very low temperature. Sir, what is the use of battery in fuel cell vehicles? It can directly provide electricity. हाँ, in fuel cell vehicle you don't need a battery. In fuel cell vehicles you won't need a battery. वो तो बैटरी इलेक्ट्रिक व्हीकल्स में बैटरी चाहिए, या हाइब्रिड वाले में you need battery. But in fuel cell electric vehicle, fuel cell is the cell which is producing the electricity, which can directly go and supply electricity to the motor, which will rotate your tires. है ना, बैटरी क्या कर रहा था, आपको इलेक्ट्रिसिटी प्रोवाइड कर रहा था, वो तो फ्यूल सेल प्रोवाइड कर दे रहा है. But isn't hydrogen inflammable gas? Won't it be dangerous? Yes, it would be dangerous. Hydrogen cars would be dangerous, but again पेट्रोल भी इन्फ्लेमेबल है. हम पेट्रोल की टंकी पे अपनी तशरीफ रख के चलते हैं, वही सीट के नीचे ही होता है. बट ओवर द इयर्स टेक्नोलॉजी हैज assured us कि नहीं मर रहे. देयर आर लेस चांसेस ऑफ एक्सीडेंट्स, राइट? Let's come back to this. Did we understand coal gasification? So high capital cost, complex technology, potential environmental risk associated with handling and storing of coal are some of the limitations here. But additionally, the gasification process also produces some greenhouse gas. जब गैसिफाई कर रहे हो, तो देखो, एक तो when you are heating it, some greenhouse gas may produce, but more importantly, methane, when it is burned, it will also produce CO2. So it's not as clean as other. Okay, but still coal gasification is something that can be done to improve the situation. Now, why was this in news? If you will come here, you will see that center allows 50% concession in revenue share to promote coal gasification. Coal gasification promote करने के लिए center has allowed 50% concession in revenue. तो center का जो revenue होगा ना, उसमें 50% concession has been given if the coal that you are extracting is being used for gasification or liquefaction. What is it saying? If the successful bidder consumes the coal produced either in its own plants or plant of its holding subsidiary, affiliate, associate for coal gasification. If the coal that is produced is used for coal gasification or liquefaction, or he sells the coal to someone who is going to gasify, liquefy it, then this concession is available. Bidder can avail the concession. For this reason, in May 2022, it was in news. So what is this liquefaction? जो हम ये term use किया हमने, let's understand that as well. In the process of converting, it is the process of converting coal into liquid hydrocarbons such as crude oil and synthetic fuel. Liquefaction can be done in two different ways. One is direct liquefaction and other is indirect liquefaction. In direct liquefaction, we heat coal with catalyst and a hydrogen source. There will be a hydrogen source, there will be a catalyst here at a temperature of 400 to 500 degrees Celsius and at 1000 to 4000 psi pressure. This process breaks down the coal's complex organic molecule into simpler molecules which can then react with hydrogen to make liquid hydrocarbon. There is indirect liquefaction mechanism where coal is first converted into gas, synthesis gas or syngas, and then the syngas is converted into liquid hydrocarbon using Fischer-Tropsch process, which involve a series of chemical reactions that build longer hydrocarbons. For coal gasification, coal liquefaction eventually produce fuel which are cleaner than coal. And therefore, to promote coal gasification, coal liquefaction, abhi government has said that we will give you 50% concession on revenue if you are extracting coal for these purposes. Okay, खत्म हो गया. Nice. तो इस पे ना like this week your test is on modern India and polity. Next week भी test आपका modern India और polity पे होगा. उसके बाद ना मैं एक रिवीजन टेस्ट लूंगा, उसमें एंटायर सिलेबस वुड बी इंक्लूडेड, बट 20 क्वेश्चंस वुड बी ऑन दीज इकोनॉमी अपडेट्स दैट वी आर डूइंग. 80 questions would be on the entire syllabus, but 20 questions would be on these economy updates that we are doing. तो इसे ध्यान से पढ़िए. आज वाली क्लास स्पेशली इंपॉर्टेंट. बाकी जैसे इंडस्ट्रीज और इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर प्रीलिम्स के लिए इतना इंपॉर्टेंट नहीं होता है, बट दिस इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. गो थ्रू इट केयरफुली. ओके, चलिए. अच्छा, कल यूपीपीसीएस का रिजल्ट आया था. हमारे 2 बच्चे इंटरव्यू दे रहे थे, दोनों सिलेक्ट हो गए. कपिल भी सिलेक्ट हो गया और अभिनेंद्र भी सिलेक्ट हो गया. तो अभिनेंद्र और कपिल ट्रीट देंगे हम सबको. मैं ट्रीट दूंगा हम सबको. आज नहीं, कल. कल क्लास है ना, कल क्लास के बाद मैं ट्रीट देता हूँ. हाँ, टेस्ट के बाद क्लास होगा. देखते हैं आगे. अब रात में जाके, कल दिन भर जाके जो पढ़ूंगा वो पढ़ाऊंगा. ठीक है, चलिए. आई विल सी यू टुमारो. थैंक यू वेरी मच.